Wanted to ask if I could do you doggy style. Oh.
Yep.
Mom got a job getting married down the street from my house, so I was on my way walking down there to start the marriage with my friend.
You can't talk that fast, then turn to the side. I can't even read your lips. I felt like I was at an auction or something. I was like, what? I won't go into a class on mommy instincts. Mommy instincts aren't about being jealous of your ex moving on with another woman. It says, besides, I slept with someone else, maybe she isn't yours. And you say, figured, and Ms. Livingston says, you will never know, and then you write back, then don't put my blank on that birth certificate. And then Ms. Livingston, you say, I'm not. How long did this mistake
It lasted, I'd say about 2 years.
2 years?
About a year. I know a year.
This wasn't no mistake, this was a decision.
This uncompromising woman dragged her daughter-in-law to paternity court, determined to expose her infidelity in front of everyone. Sounds harsh, right? Well, it was.
You say she entrapped him, but she's giving him money, she's doing this for what? To what end? What does she want
She
from
want a
him?
man of her own.
She wanted a man of her own.
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Autry, really? Why would you say that, Miss
Because
Autry?
you do, Miss Tramp.
Oh, see, Your Honor,
Miss
this is what I'm
Autry, come on,
saying.
let's be respectful.
She was adamant that baby Skylar wasn't her grandchild and refused to budge from her stance. Moreover, she came prepared to fight this battle until the DNA results were revealed.
I'm from, they call me Queen DNA. So until I get a DNA test to prove that's my grandbaby, I am not accepting the responsibility for no baby that's not none of mine.
But you was claiming her at first, though, Miss Autry.
All right, hold on. Let me come to you, Miss Martin, because I want to understand this. She says you entrapped her son. Did you do that?
No.
These two women had no love lost between. Big Mama didn't believe a single word from her daughter-in-law's mouth and was more than ready to give her a piece of her mind.
Were you buying them cars and all these things, giving them money and all of this?
He did the same for me in return.
Okay,
He
so
didn't have no job, so he do the same for in return. He
He
ain't
did
have
the
no
same.
job. He don't even work.
He did the same thing, Miss Autry.
No, he didn't. He don't
Yes,
even
he
have a
did.
job.
Yes, he did, Miss
No,
Autry.
he
And
didn't.
You know this.
Well,
you
how
know
he get
it.
the money? Because he ain't had no
You
job.
know it.
Miss Martin shed light on the nature of the relationship between her son and the plaintiff. Unsurprisingly, the couple was still married. However, that didn't stop the mother-in-law from going off on her daughter-in-law.
That's my husband.
that's your, oh, yes, your husband.
My husband.
So he's still your husband.
Get married
Yes,
to
ma'am.
you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because I got
Okay.
a phone call job getting married down the street from my house, so I was on my way walking down there to start the marriage with my friend. That's why I was going out to go start the
she
wedding.
tried to stop
When I
the
got
wedding,
dropped
Your
off
Honor. She
down,
tried
I
to
did
stop the
move your
wedding.
way to close so you can get married to him.
This fiery woman wasn't one to be messed with. She had tried to stop her son's wedding, and he hadn't even invited her, fearing exactly this kind of drama.
And my friend seen me walking and she said, where are you going? And I said, to stop this wedding. So she gave me a ride and she dropped me out. So I'm up there trying to stop the wedding and they take her
Crazy.
and to another locations where they can get married.
Oh, you have to move locations because of Miss Autry?
He's crazy, Your Honor. Yes.
Miss Martin ended up at the hospital, believing she was in false labor. This incident fueled Miss Autry's doubts, leading her to suspect that her son wasn't the baby's father. But Miss Autry wasn't done yet.
What's she doing?
She was acting crazy. She was out in the hospital saying, that ain't none of my son's baby. That ain't none of my son's baby. You lying. You lying.
Then came the crucial evidence the plaintiff had been talking about all along. As it was examined, the situation escalated beyond control. It was clear the woman was desperate to prove her claim.
She don't have the toes like my son.
Yes,
His
she
toes
does.
cross,
Yes,
his
she
big
does.
toe is here and his this toe next
They
to his big
overlap.
toe. It crawls over like that. And I have proof, Your Honor, that that is not his baby because her toes don't do that.
Yes, they do,
and she
Your
don't have
Honor.
the thick eyebrows as me and my son and my daughter have.
She's
so
too.
I know
They
that's
haven't
not my
grew
son's
yet.
baby.
I mean, they grew.
All right.
They don't call Miss Autry Queen DNA for nothing. She was relentless in her pursuit of the truth. However, Miss Martin had an ace up her sleeve, a witness. And to everyone's shock, it was Miss Autry's own daughter.
So do you believe this beautiful baby, Skylar, is your niece?
She is my brother baby. I was there when she was born. That's my baby.
And you have a very close bond with her?
Yes, ma'am. Every week.
She love babies.
That's my brother baby.
I mean, if your daughter is bonded with her and your son said that's his daughter, why? What is your problem? That's his daughter. Why? What is your problem?
Then another man entered the picture, bringing even more shocking revelations. His presence turned everything upside down as he arrived and, in a way, conquered.
So, Mr. God, how did you get a notion that this could be your child?
Because we had sex unprotected.
That baby.
Did she ever tell you you are the father?
Once when we was on the phone,
When you were on the phone?
Yes.
What did she say?
she was just telling me like it's a possibility that the baby could be mine.
She could be here. Look at his
I didn't
eyebrows. Look at
say
her
that.
eyebrows.
We witnessed intense moments between Miss Autry, the DNA queen, and the rest of the courtroom. But now it was time for the ultimate truth to be revealed, the real DNA results.
Has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Martin.
I'll take that for 200, Your Honor. I told you.
Miss Livingston was back in court again. Some people just never learn, do they? This time she was demanding that her current boyfriend, Mr. Snyder, acknowledge that her daughter was his, but he wasn't buying it.
Are today's results so important to your relationship?
It's everything. Everything hangs in the balance. Us being a family, everything. He said he'll go back to Ohio if he's not the father. If the DNA results come back that it's not his.
You going back to Ohio, Mr. Snyder?
Yes, Your Honor. If the child's not mine, why be there for a child that's not mine?
And so the stakes are high.
So how did he find out about the alleged infidelity? Well, it all started when he went through the plaintiff's phone. That's when he stumbled upon a crude message from a random guy.
Went through her phone and saw a message from a guy.
Really?
Yes.
What did the message say?
He wanted to meet up with her and have sex.
So you see a message, someone propositioning sex to your girlfriend?
Mm-hmm. And there was no like, I'm with a guy right now. There's like no to it. It was just, I want to have sex. Where you at?
Things only got worse from there. More messages were revealed in court, and this time, the defendant had solid proof to back up his claims. The content of those messages?
You see a message that says, wanted to ask if I could do you doggy style. Oh.
Yep.
And then you see this message after that. What hotel you staying at? Ms. Livingston, I'm staying at the blank inn.
Why are you gonna tell him where exactly you're at?
Mr. Snyder wasn't convinced, and honestly, could blame him. Once doubt creeps into a relationship, it's almost impossible to erase.
When he asked me if I was alone, I told him no, that my boyfriend would be there.
But there's no boyfriend or girlfriend on the planet Earth that wants to know that their partner's ex is sending them this kind of message.
I told him that he sends me those kind of messages all the time.
Soon after this, you find out Miss Livingston is pregnant.
According to Mr. Snyder, he and Miss Livingston had a huge fight after he learned she was pregnant. After that, she disappeared without a trace.
I did not break up with him, first of all. I was staying with a friend the night before, and I had lost my phone at that friend's house. She took me back to my apartment after I sat waiting for him because he told me I'll be there. And I'm sitting there in the freezing rain waiting on him. He never shows up. So that friend shows up to take me back to my apartment. I still did not have my phone.
She claimed that she had been left stranded in the freezing rain, abandoned when her boyfriend failed to show up. Harsh, right? Luckily, a friend took her in. She then decided to break things off with what she called the worst excuse for a...
I didn't even know until the 3 months later when I finally got a phone, and he told me, well, I'm with somebody else now. And I was like, you're cheating on me? And he's like, no, you broke up with me. So I found somebody new.
Even if she sends the text message pretending it's you and he gets it, why is it you don't ever call him?
Because I didn't have a phone until I got back to my mom and she was able to get me. I moved home.
Boyfriend. How did these two reconnect? Turns out it was Miss Livingston who reached out to him on Facebook. Once again, the defendant had receipts, text messages that didn't exactly make her look good.
I said, I was like, well, I've cheated on you. You may be the father, you may not. You'll never know.
I have evidence on that.
Ms. Livingston says, besides, I slept with someone else, maybe she isn't yours. And you say, figured, and Ms. Livingston says, you will never know, and then you write back, then don't put my blank on that birth certificate. And then Ms. Livingston, you say, I'm not.
She admitted to pulling some reckless stunts, blaming it on her pain and anger after learning that he had moved on. She also claimed her mommy instincts had kicked in, intensifying her emotions.
I didn't want somebody else trying to play house and play mommy with my baby.
Okay, I won't go into a class on mommy instincts. Mommy instincts aren't about being jealous of your ex moving on with another woman. Mommy instincts are about making sure your child is taken care of and knows their father.
Despite all of Mr. Snyder's doubts, Miss Livingston was convinced he was the father. She even brought photos pointing out the resemblance between him and the baby.
He's a little girl, and I wanted a little girl.
She looks just like him. I'm sorry, but she looks just like him. We have other pictures that show that she looks just like him. She has his ear. He has an ear that has a bent down in there, and it looks like a little elf ear. It's pointed. She's got the same ear on the same side.
It's a baby face.
And she's got the nasally stuff that he's got going on.
She can look like anyone.
Now, everything came down to one thing, the DNA test results for baby Emma. And with that, it was time for Judge Lake to open the envelope and reveal the truth.
Snyder, you are the father. You are the father.
Good.
Thank you.
I don't gotta book a ticket tomorrow.
You don't have to book a ticket now?
No, you don't have to.
Sleeping with your own sister-in-law? Preposterous, isn't it? But wait, there's more. Mr. Griffin claimed that the child he had was with the defendant, Miss Richmond.
How long did this mistake
It lasted, I'd say, about 2 years.
2 years?
About a year. I know a year. I know a year.
This wasn't no
Oh,
mistake.
yeah.
This was a decision.
Exactly.
So for 2 years, you were sleeping with your wife's sister
Yes.
regularly?
Yes.
Often. Very often.
Back when she was young and reckless, Miss Richmond had a different name for what happened between her and Mr. Griffin. Something she did behind both her sister's and his wife's backs. Feeling uncomfortable yet?
Well, you all had known each other for an extended amount of time. Oh, this is all in the family.
All in the family, Your Honor. I was in love, so I thought what I thought was love back in that time. I think that's why I chose to tell him first for anyone else that he was the father. We slept together more unprotected than I did with the others.
Fast forward 30 years, and Mr. Griffin was still convinced that Takia was his daughter. The defendant admitted she had told him about her pregnancy at the time, but exclusivity?
So you were admitting that during the window of conception, you were also sleeping with 2 other men?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you tell those men you were pregnant as
No,
well?
Your Honor, no.
Why did you only choose to tell Mr. Griffin?
Mr. Griffin was the one I was with mostly all the time. Mostly.
Right.
So that's
and so
why
you know it only
assumed
takes
was
once,
it.
though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You'd think they would have been honest with each other after the plaintiff got Miss Richmond pregnant, right? No.
Oh, Mr. Griffin, how did you tell your wife that you got her sister pregnant?
I didn't because I was too embarrassed to tell her, I did that.
So, Takia, I want to hear from you because I want to understand at what point did you find out?
Like the first time someone brought his name up was like, my mom never brought his name up.
In the middle of all this chaos, it was Takia who suffered the most. She grew up without a father, and her mother never even mentioned his name.
I got a message on MySpace. Do you remember MySpace?
I sure do. I wasn't on it, but I remember
So
it.
I got a message on MySpace from Lakeisha. Just a long little thing saying, I think you're my sister. And I'm just like who is this girl? So
And wait, so when you first got the message, were you overwhelmed with emotion or did you feel like it was a prank?
Then came Sister Lisa, adding yet another twist to the story. She revealed how she discovered she had a long-lost sister named Takia, but that wasn't the biggest shock.
And I see some mail from Jackson County Child Support, and I began to look at it, and I've seen her name, Takia's name.
Had you ever been told about Takia?
Yes.
Who told you about her?
My mother. She just kind of mentioned that we had another sister, but I didn't know what her name was.
Meanwhile, Takia's mother refused to believe that Mr. Griffin was the father, and yet, somehow, he still ended up with child support papers. Turns out, a paternity test had already been done years ago, but instead of solving the mystery...
Mr. Griffin, do you remember submitting to this DNA testing years
I
ago?
do, and from my knowledge, that I got the paper saying I was the father.
You got the papers and they said that you were the father.
Yes.
So you're saying you got paperwork that says you were the father,
Yeah.
and Ms. Richmond, you got paperwork that says he was not.
According to a young woman searching for her father, there was a record of the paternity test. But strangely enough, there was no official record of Mr. Griffin in the system. Suspicious, right?
Wow, this is complicated.
I called. All I know is I believe the other people better than believe in them. When I called them, they said that they do not have a test. They said that
From him.
we took ours, but he did not show up to take his. That's what they said.
This wild family drama had dragged on for more than 30 years. But enough was enough. The only way to finally settle this once and for all was to open that good old envelope and get to the truth.
Mr. Griffin, you are not her father.
Miss Chinglong entered the courtroom determined to uncover the truth about her paternity. She accused her mother of having relations with multiple men, so many that she couldn't even keep track of them.
Mother is absolutely to blame. I was born to the most irresponsible, selfish, immature person in the world. She already had a 3-year-old when I was born in the same situation, not knowing who her father was as well. So my mother should have known better, not to be sleeping with multiple people at the same time.
Resentment had been brewing in her heart for a long time, and it seemed her mother, Mrs. Barabe, never took the time to address it. Now standing before Judge Lake, Mrs. Barabe had some serious explaining to do.
bring her over there all the time to see him. He got in a relationship with a
Maybe
really
one
bad person.
time.
I got married to a very controlling man. My ex-husband moved me 1,700 miles to
Yeah, but
Arkansas.
it was, you know, they fought all the time, and it was always
I moved
her
back
fault
over
why
there
they
to
were
California
fighting.
so she could have a relationship
No,
with James.
she depended
he had
on
already
her
passed
ex-husband.
away.
Miss Qinglong's emotional outburst in court was just a glimpse into her struggles. Growing up, she had been forced to take on the role of a mother to her younger siblings, while her own mother was too busy partying.
You know, she would leave me alone to babysit them, so either she could go to the casino, so she could gamble anywhere, you know.
That's not
she
true.
That is true.
That's
she
not
knows
true.
it's true.
She's
This
not remember
is true.
she.
And then there were so many times where her and my stepdad fought back and forth.
This is not true because I've always been a loving mother to her. I've always been the best friend. I've always told her the truth.
As if things weren't chaotic enough, the family of the late potential father stepped into the courtroom with even more revelations. They claimed that back when Miss Barabe was pregnant, she had been indecisive about who the father was.
I didn't see the baby until she was about 2 months old. Valerie, it is true, and you know it.
I never called them.
Then how did we know you
I didn't even have their number. He moved around everywhere with Sherry. I'm owning up. I'm here.
Yeah, you're here. You need a wake-up call.
No, I wanted to do this years ago.
You need a wake-up call.
No,
you need to finally face the truth.
Okay, let's get some order in the court.
Despite the growing accusations, Mrs. Barabe stood her ground, refusing to take responsibility. Was this a case of people ganging up on her, or were they all telling the truth?
Why did you think you weren't allowed to come?
She told me we weren't allowed to be at the hunt. She wouldn't tell us.
No, because I didn't talk to nobody.
She didn't want us there because
you can
her
ask
ex
my
was
parents.
there.
They're not here as witnesses.
Her boyfriend
My parents
was
were at
there
the
in the
hospital. This is not true.
Was your ex at the hospital?
No, he wasn't.
The man that
He's
she
on
put
the
the
birth
name on the
certificate, though.
birth
That's funny.
certificate. The guy she lived with when she got pregnant.
Just as the court was digesting that revelation, an unexpected comment from her uncle sent Mrs. Barabe into a full-blown shouting match, adding even more tension to an already volatile case.
I just wanted everything to be Cody, not about him. I don't need to lie.
I haven't gotten one out either.
Until after my brother's death, and it became a social
No,
security
why didn't you contact me
issue.
to tell me he died? 2 years passed. Did you guys call me to tell me he died? I love that man.
You left the
Don't
state.
sit here and tell me
You
that
left
you
the
guys
state.
cared about me because you didn't.
You left the
You were
state.
in Arkansas. We didn't even know where you were.
But all the yelling in the world wasn't going to change the past. Miss Qinglong had grown up without a father, and this courtroom drama wasn't making things any better. Thankfully, Judge Lake was ready to put an end to the uncertainty once and for all. She called for that good old DNA envelope.
In the case of Autumn Qinglong, Mrs. Qinglong, James Audis was your father. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stewart, you are the father.
Hey, I told you, baby. I told you. I ain't got no reason to lie.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Theodore Pearson.
Can I see my daughter, Your Honor?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tolliver, you are her father.
Okay.
Ms. Mueller has had an extremely painful childhood, but she turned it all around. She joined the military, got married, and is now living happily ever after. However, something is missing. She wants to know who her father is. She's now dragged the defendant, Mr. Robinson, to court to prove that he's her biological father. Mr. Robinson says he's always known that he's not her real father, but he pretended to be just to stop her from hurting.
It's standing here in court.
I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm annoyed. Your Honor, when I grew up, I had a rough childhood. I didn't really know either one of my parents very well. I basically raised myself, being raised by myself and the people that I was in foster care with. So I was a little troubled child, but as I grew older, I told myself I didn't want to be like that. So I graduated from high school with an honors diploma. I joined the Army. I went and served my country overseas. I came back. I'm in school now, on the dean's list, getting my bachelor's degree. I'll be done in a year. I'm married to a man who loves me and supports me fully. And I feel like I'm proud of myself.
But despite accomplishing all of this, Ms. Mueller still feels hurt because she feels she doesn't have a genuine family to share her happiness with.
Your Honor, when I was getting deployed to Iraq, I wanted my family there.
I took the time out to call Mr. Robinson, asked him to be there for me, you know? I'm getting ready to deploy. Can you come up to the unit? His answer was, I'm busy. And he lived in the same city, 10 minutes away.
And so you have not had the support?
Never.
Of the man you believe is your biological father?
That must have stung like crazy. Mr. Robinson says he's always been there for Ms. Muller, even with his doubts that he isn't truly her father. But Ms. Muller disagrees vehemently. She says when she needed a place to stay or money to get her place, Mr. Robinson turned her down. In any case, what are even the doubts Mr. Robinson has about the paternity of Ms. Muller here?
Understand. Why do you have doubt? Were you having sex with her mother during the window of conception?
Yes, I was, but...
Okay, now, do you have any notion, idea, belief, or proof that her mother was also having sex with anyone else?
Well, she had a lot of men friends. When I come around, they always walk away, y'all. It gave me doubts because they walk away.
Did you ever question her and say, hey, are you cheating on me? Are you having any other relationships?
I did, Your Honor.
And what was the answer?
She always said, no, those are my friends.
Those are just her...
Well, it seems Mr. Robinson here doesn't have a very good leg to stand on if he's trying to prove that Ms. Muller isn't his biological daughter. He simply doesn't have good reasons to doubt that this child isn't his. Ms. Muller's mother, Ms. Cobbs, is in court today, and she also has a fair bit to say.
It'd be time for them to go.
He's a bald-faced lie. If you come up in your house and see another man up in there, and you gonna be that calm? When I'm committed, I'm committed. I don't do no outside dipping and dapping. For us him talking about being a father to her, no, he haven't.
Mr. Robinson has been a model father. Well, according to him anyway. He says he signed Miss Muller's birth certificate and even took her to live with him when she was 9 years old. But through all of this, his doubt remained. Ms. Cobb says that his doubt is completely unfounded and a figment of his imagination. She says he signed the birth certificate and named the child after himself. If he didn't think she was his child, would he really do that?
Sure.
I was trying to do the right thing, Your Honor. I was in love with her. And I would have, if she'd have told me to take off my shoes and walk to New York bare feet, I would have done it because I was that much in love with her.
And so, in your mind, you wanted this relationship to continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though you had doubts, you didn't voice them because the truth is you didn't want to lose Miss Cobb. Did
Yes,
you ever
Your Honor.
say, I have doubts?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's a lie.
What did you say to her?
I think she was messing around.
Now you say I was, now you thinking? Which one is I was, I wasn't?
Anyway, it's time to see the DNA test and know for sure who's lying and who's not. Let's get to it.
Mr. Robinson, you are her father.
What? Bam! Bam!
Ms. Gray says Mr. Pearson is tearing her family apart by refusing to acknowledge her 10-month-old daughter, Kamaya, as his. She says he accepts the paternity of her 2 older children, but somehow thinks that Kamaya's dad is a member of his own family.
What are your hopes for today, really?
I just want him to be a part of her life. Granted, I would love to have my family all together because that's what I really came here for. I just want him to treat her the way he treats the other ones. He treats them way more better than he treats her. He buys them things. He don't buy her nothing.
Is that true, Mr. Pearson?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
It is true.
Yes, it is.
And that's because of the doubt you say.
Why would Mr. Pearson even doubt that this pretty baby is his? He must have some good reasons. And well, it turns out he does.
Kamaya is your child.
She slept with my cousin, Your Honor.
What?
Exactly what?
Mr. Pearson's cousin, Alexander Pearson, slept with Ms. Gray twice. That's insane. Ms. Gray admits that this happened, but she says it was revenge for Mr. Pearson sleeping with his cousin's ex-girlfriend and having a baby with her. She also says she only slept with him after she was pregnant by Mr. Pearson. But Mr. Pearson says this is a lie, and for good reason.
With each other. But I look at it as if you did it once, you did it then, you've done it before, you've done it, you'll do it again. I'm a man. I know what it's like. We as men, we can be dogs.
Well, all right, say that.
You know, and that's the truth.
I'm going to accept that into evidence as fact.
This means Mr. Pearson believes that Alexander Pearson is the father of Kamaya. Of course, Mr. Alexander knows this too, and when he saw Kamaya, he said it's a huge possibility that she's his child because of the resemblance they both have. But there are two problems with that theory. The first is that both men are cousins, so it wouldn't be horribly out of place for Kamaya to look like Alexander Pearson. Secondly, the child was barely a week old when Mr. Alexander made this judgment. Did he see that resemblance when the child was barely a week old? Let's hear from Mr. Alexander Pearson himself.
To the family.
At first, no, she was like, she's pregnant, and I was like, well, do you know who it is? And she was like, it's your cousin Theo. But when the baby was born, me and my cousin saw the baby, and we had our own judgment as he thought, since he already knew about me sleeping with his baby mama, he thought, well, that I could be the father, and I thought that maybe I could be the father too, because look at the baby. And so I asked her, I said, do you know if I'm the father or not? And she said, well, if it's anybody, it's just between you and your cousin.
That's interesting. Ms. Gray insists that Mr. Alexander Pearson isn't the father, but at the same time, she told him to get a paternity test. Doesn't that mean that she believes that there's a tiny chance that he could be the father? To make it worse, Mr. Alexander Pearson has counted back the dates from the last time he slept with Ms. Gray, and he insists that he could be the father of Kamaya. Or he could be trying to complete his revenge on Mr. Pearson by having a baby by his baby mother, the same way Mr. Pearson had a baby by Alexander's ex-girlfriend. Who knows?
Something don't add up here.
Mr.
And
Pearson.
my whole thing was, if it's happened once, like she said, it's happened several times. If they build that relationship then, how could it not have been built beforehand?
He was just sex. It was revengeful.
No, it is no just sex.
It was a revenge. There's no relationship.
Every time I've laid down with a woman, I've had to build some sort of relationship with her.
That's you.
Correct?
You
Correct,
can have
officer?
sex with somebody and not show no type of feeling.
Oh well, let's get the DNA test results and see who is the father of Kamaya. Is it Mr. Pearson or Mr. Alexander Pearson?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Theodore Pearson.
Can I see my daughter, Your Honor?
Mr. Tolliver is here with his girlfriend today, and he's the defendant in this case. He's 100% certain that Ms. Allen's daughter Novella isn't his, and he's in court to prove it. He says he even has very strong evidence that will help him prove his claim.
What can you prove?
I've tried to get her to do a DNA test. For instance, just the other day, says she's not going to do the test.
Really?
Okay, that may sound interesting, but it's not proof of anything. There are loads of reasons Ms. Allen might not want to carry out a DNA test. And maybe one of those reasons is that Novella belongs to another man. But that alone is hardly a smoking gun.
He's the reason why. I honestly do not want to go take a test by myself with him. And he don't want to be around my family.
Wait a minute, now you laid down by yourself with him? Now you can't go and get a DNA test by yourself? I've never heard of such.
I just don't feel comfortable around him.
But you don't have to be present at the same time to get the DNA testing done.
She texted.
That's a great point, Judge Lake. Is there another reason behind Miss Allen's refusal to get a DNA test? Or is it just regular stubbornness from her? Anyway, Ms. Bowl, Mr. Tolliver's girlfriend, says that Ms. Allen often sent Mr. Tolliver needy texts saying she misses him and wants to be with him. Mr. Tolliver adds that Ms. Allen is always coming back to him whenever she breaks up with her boyfriend or has an issue with him.
I want to make sure I understand. You two were in a sexual relationship at some point,
yes.
am I correct?
Yes.
Was it during the window of time that Novella was conceived?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you together?
It's a couple of months, not long. It wasn't a heavy, steady relationship. We weren't.
So you weren't committed?
Yeah, we was committed.
We seen each other on the weekends every now and again. It's not like we lived in different.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you live in a different country from someone, you cannot be in a serious relationship with them or even get them pregnant. Them's just the rules. Well, according to Mr. Tolliver, anyway. Of course, Mr. Da Rules Tolliver made sure not to use protection with Mrs. Allen every time he slept with her. But as you know, that could not result in a pregnancy. Because he and Ms. Allen lived in different counties. Them's just the rules.
Did you use protection?
No, ma'am. But she told me that the day before that her ex-boyfriend she just broke up with, they had intercourse that night. The night
No, I
before.
did not tell you that.
Okay, that's what you said.
No.
Okay, so the day you met her, She says, I had intercourse with my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend last night, and then you had intercourse with her that night.
Yes, we were having drinks and talking, and I don't want to hear about that. You know, I don't want to hear who you had sex with, but I mean, you know, alcohol does that. Alcohol opens people up. That's what she told me. And I mean, the first night we met, you know, we had sex.
Seems like Mr. Tolliver here is a real charmer. However, he doesn't quite believe in his charms because he says he isn't the only one Ms. Allen has given it up for on the first night. But what all of this means is that Mr. Tolliver had unprotected intercourse with Ms. Allen during the window of conception, and he could be one of the fathers. For some reason, Mr. Tolliver can't seem to grasp that tiny fact easily.
And it's on the Facebook.
What are these pictures of, Mr. Tolliver?
That's Miss Allen with the guy she was seeing at the time that she's telling me that.
So this is her in the hospital having birth, and that's the man there on the phone in the corner.
Her boyfriend, or she's telling me that that's going to be Novella's father.
When did she tell you this?
Right after the pregnancy.
So you weren't there on this day, the day she delivered?
No, ma'am.
Hey guys, if you want your baby's father to be involved in their life, the one thing you should probably do is invite them to the delivery room when you give birth. If you don't invite them and then send them a text message saying another man will be the baby's daddy, don't be surprised if they never step up and you find yourself on paternity court years later. Again, Dem's just the rules. Mr. Tolliver, of course, now has very predictable ideas about this man that Ms. Allen got with after she met him.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe that this gentleman is potentially Novella's biological father, or do you feel like this is just someone she's using to get back at you?
I don't know. It just seems to me like that's a very good chance that he is the father.
When you got pregnant, were you dating anyone else at the time?
No.
Did you call Mr. Tolliver and tell him you were pregnant?
Yes, I did.
What was his response?
I called him when I was in the doctor's office, told him I was pregnant, and his basic response was, it was not his problem, it was...
Oh well, Mr. Tolliver has been set on not being the father of Novella from the very beginning. And this story about not going to the delivery of the child just seems to be an excuse. Anyway, let's end this and see who the real father of Novella is.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tolliver, you are her father.
Okay.
Are you happy?
A little bit, yes, ma'am.
Just a little happy.
Well, I mean, I've always wanted a kid, but the other thing is, though, I mean, now I want Rachel to understand this. I'm going to be in the baby's life, but, you know, I know you said you're over me, but we're done with the going back and forth, okay?
It's going to be a bit hard to know who's telling the truth here. Mr. Meyer says that Ms. Fisher here is a serial cheater who was sleeping with numerous men during their relationship. And as such, he's sure he isn't the father of her second child, Xavier. Ms. Fisher, on the other hand, argues that Mr. Meyer abandoned her and the kids after she had his second child and is now refusing to take responsibility for that child.
Here for the second time, again in court.
I'm here for the second time, Your Honor, because I feel like still that Ace is not my child. I feel like that it's impossible to get a DNA for a child that's unborn just from a swab of the mother. I guess that's the only way I'm still acting the way I am toward him.
Well, you don't get the DNA of the child that's born just...
Good story, but Mr. Meyer says he has an even better one that will put this story to bed once and for all.
Because I want to understand why you don't believe the results. So I ordered a new paternity test just for you. So you believe that the mother was swabbed and it's impossible.
Well, that sounds really sad, Mr. Meyer, but that cannot mean that you aren't Xavier's father. You've got to do better than that. Give us some proof, some argument, anything that isn't circumstantial. But before we get to that, Mr. Meyer has some other pressing issues he'd like to address.
All he did was just cry, and there was just no connection.
That's what a baby does. They cry when they first born.
There was just no connection. Even when I look at Ace, I still see... I don't see me.
So what part of this situation relates to the fact that you don't believe the prenatal testing results?
Now he think Mr. Haynes, my fiance, is...
Wow, that's just, wow, wow. What? Anyway, Miss Fisher says if Mr. Meyer was serious about the 2 kids not being his, why didn't he take a DNA test after they were born? Why did he wait years later? And that's a great question.
When I was in the hospital when she gave birth to Ace, she had put my name on the birth certificate. Removed my name off the birth certificate just to put Mr.
Reason of that
name
being
on
is
the birth certificate.
I asked
So
him.
wait a minute now. She took your name off the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you put Mr. Haynes' name on
The
Ace's
same
birth
day
certificate?
after I left out of the hospital.
What? What's going on here? Why was Mr. Meter crying? Does he not have any strong evidence that shows that Miss Fisher cheated on him? What's happening? Let's give Mr. Meyer another try to make his case.
They give you a piece of paper in the hospital, and you have to fill your information out on that.
And so what is this you submitted to the court?
That's just the birth certificate that the hospital gave me that I could take home. And
that's
on
the
the
thing
back of that, that's what he signed. So in the record, he has no father. It's nobody's name on his birth certificate, really.
But if you've already determined...
Well, breaking news, guys. If someone crawls out your window or if someone tells you someone crawled out of your window, then it's proof that your wife is cheating on you and both of your kids aren't yours. Right? Of course not. Mr. Meyer doesn't have any evidence to prove his wife cheated on him, and it's little wonder the DNA test results confirm what we all knew from the beginning.
In the case of Mason versus Malone, when it comes to 5-month-old Ace Marcus Mason, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are the father. Again.
So, that's your son. You need to just start taking care of your son.
And I'm
start
going
bonding
the
with your
same-
son.
The same way I do with the other 2.
Ms. Dallas says that the defendant, Mr. Stewart, is the father of her newborn son, Lamar, and is shocked that he's denying being the child's father. She says what's even more shocking is the fact that she just discovered that he's leading a double life. Mr. Stewart claims that Ms. Dallas has been far from faithful, and baby Lamar has a lot of other potential fathers.
Casually.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we always had to get a room, and I used to ask him, I'm tired of going to the room, can we go to your house? You said you have a house, you own it. And he was like, I have unwanted company there. So I'm like, unwanted company? I'm like, you got a girlfriend? He like, no. I'm like, you have a baby mom there? He like, no. I'm like, you got a wife? And he was like...
Oh, so Mr. Stewart is the originally unfaithful one. This sounds interesting. Let's hear what our man, Mr. Stewart, has to say about that.
Wait, you were basically out acting like a single man.
No, I wouldn't act. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Your Honor. Sorry about that.
I'm glad you just went on ahead and
Your
told
Honor.
the truth.
I had to think about it.
Okay, so you were out there acting like a single man, but you were married.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you getting a divorce then?
I wasn't in, I didn't have it filed, but in my head, yeah, I was getting a divorce.
In your head.
That means you...
Mr. Stewart is married and was cheating on his wife with Miss Dallas, and then presumably got her pregnant. And now is on paternity court to sort out the paternity of the baby involved. This is what happens when you cheat on your wife.
Ms. Dallas, once you found out he was married, did you have second thoughts about dating a married man?
Yes, I did have second thoughts, but once everything started hitting the floor, I was already pregnant. You know what I'm saying? I love Cedric, and he was telling me, I'm gonna do the divorce, we're gonna have a house, all this, we're gonna raise our son together, I was believing him because that's all I had to do was believe him,
So he had you high off the promises and drunk off the dream.
That's great. Mr. Stewart has some pretty strong reasons why he believes that this child Lamar isn't his. Let's see if they hold any water.
When he got here, he don't look like me. Look at his hair, he look mixed.
He don't look mixed. All babies come out with fine hair, and I'm pretty sure
So
everybody that got
at
children
what
knows that.
point do you have to come clean with your wife about this baby?
I told her.
Picture of the
Because
strip.
when me and
I still
Cedric
got
were supposed to
pictures.
be together, Roberta sent me a picture of him and Cedric in the bed. Now Cedric has my name tattooed on him. She sent me a picture. She sent me a picture of him and her in the bed naked together.
This just gets messier and messier and messier. And it's about to get even messier because Mrs. Stewart is also in court and she has a fair bit she wants to say. And oh, Mr. Stewart here has no kids with his wife, but has 3 kids with previous relationships. And yes, he's been married to Mrs. Stewart for 10 years. Just a heads up.
Miss Stewart, you're claiming that what you've presented to the court are messages which indicate she was not just entertaining your husband, but multiple men.
Yes.
That's not true.
Well, I definitely see plenty of interaction between Miss Dallas and various men.
Those inboxes are what they send me. You don't see nothing of me sending nothing back to them. I can't help when nobody send me on Facebook or whatever they asking me.
So, Miss Stewart, you believe that Miss Dallas was having sex with multiple men.
Exactly.
In addition to your husband.
Okay then, now we've got some hard evidence to talk about. Let's see what Miss Dallas says about this.
Were you intimate with anyone else around the time baby Lamar was conceived?
No.
Anybody else?
No.
Well, then the case is settled. It's time to see who's been lying and who's been telling the truth. What does the DNA test say?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stewart, you are the father.
Hey, I told you, baby. I told you. I ain't got no reason to lie.
Ms. Lyde appears in courtroom saying that the defendant, Mr. Ellis, is the man she has known to be her father for the past 26 years. Now he says he is not the father, and she's trying to find out why. Mr. Ellis, however, says that her mother was unfaithful, and he is going to prove that he is not her father. Here is how the case starts.
Ms. Lyde, you say that for 26 years you have known only one man, the defendant, Mr. Ellis, to be your biological father. And you're devastated that he is claiming you're not his.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ellis, you say that Ms. Lyde's mother was unfaithful during your 7-year relationship and that you are certain you are not Ms. Lyde's biological father. You are here to prove that in court and to clear your name.
Yes, Your Honor. That's odd. Ms. Lyde says that growing up has been hard for her right from her childhood. She says that she's been in and out of foster homes for as long as she can remember. If that's the case, how then has she believed for 26 years that Mr. Ellis has been her father?
And so you're saying you were in a relationship with her mother?
Yes, I was.
And it was a sexual relationship?
Yes, it was.
And it was a sexual relationship where you did not use protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
However, what you're saying is her mother also was having sex and intimate relationships with other men during that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
That story sounds hell of hilarious. Mr. Ellis claims that her mother was out partying and sleeping with several men while they were in a romantic relationship with each other. That crazy thing is he actually has no proof to back up his claim.
I gave her the papers. They garnished my check.
Mr. Ellis, explain that. You had a DNA test already.
Yes.
Explain.
When I was away, her mother called child support on me. They came and took the DNA test.
You got the results back?
I got the results back. It was 99.9 that I wasn't the father. So I showed her the paperwork.
Wow. I think her mom might have to get up from that chair she's in and tell her side of the story. Mr. Ellis says that he had a DNA test done, and the results showed that he was 99.9% not her father, and that's the reason he stopped paying child support. Could he be lying?
This on this DNA test got was from her through juvenile court, but they never showed to court.
So the bottom line is a DNA test was performed, yes or no?
Yes.
What were the results?
They say in the court 99% yes.
Well, I guess we've heard her own side of the story, and it doesn't go with what Mr. Ellis said. Apparently, she claims that a DNA test was actually done, but the results showed that Mr. Ellis was 99.9% her father, and not what he claims they showed. Interesting.
Mrs. Lyde, it's not that I'm not trying to accept you for who you are. I think you're a beautiful person. Your mother should have told you and quit lying to you. You deserve the truth.
I do deserve the truth. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling really mad.
And you have the right to be.
What are you feeling?
I feel like, because I'm a mom, and I feel like if you are old enough.
Well said, Ms. Lyde. Well said. She loves herself, and if Mr. Ellis wants to deny her, she's good either way. All she wants is to know the identity of who her actual father is. Seems like her mother isn't even sure who the dad is at this point.
About who your father is, so you find your real father.
I feel like
That's why I called the
truth.
courts.
I deserve
That's
to know
why I
what's
called the
going
courts,
on.
because you deserve the truth.
In your court papers, Ms. Lyde, you said that you made difficult and unfortunate choices with men because of this absence of a father figure, the relationship with your father.
Once again, she's right. She admits to the judge that she has also made terrible mistakes with the men she has been with, and she blames it on the fact that she never had a male figure in her life to guide her. I honestly blame her mother for all of this.
She has a little brother that she and the little brother were like twins, and the grandmother, Miss Lyde Sr.'s mother, brought the baby over in the house behind mine every day for a week and said, this is her brother. I want her to know her.
Judge Lauren will certainly add that to the list of things she had to consider. Mr. Ellis's witness, who happens to also be his mother, says that Ms. Lyde does not possess any features that would mark her as one of her genes. She also says that she actually never saw DNA results showing that her son was either the father or not the father.
It's already built the hate in her heart for me from the day I was born. Like every situation I have seen her has been trouble. Like I've seen her on the trolley when I was 10. I don't know if you remember.
You were 16.
I was 10. I saw her on a trolley where we used to live at, and I approached her.
Wow. That would definitely have broken Ms. Lyde's heart as a child. Ms. Lyde believes that Mr. Ellis's mom has always hated her right from the time she was born, and she never wanted her to be part of her family.
I don't need anybody to feel sorry for me at all, because at the end of the day, I'm blessed. I just want to know the truth.
But the DNA test told it already.
Let it go. Let it go. She's lying still.
I haven't saw anything yet.
You have to understand, Mr. Ellis, her point is she's been told her whole life you are her biological father. You say you had proof that she was not, but she hasn't seen the proof.
Yep, we are all confused. Trust me. Everybody seems to have one thing or the other to say, and the story is just not adding up. Let's see if the results are going to clear the air, and we can get to the bottom of the whole thing. Here are the results.
Mr. Ellis, you are the father.
Whoa! I knew it! Yes!
This is another case of young kids getting pregnant at a young age. Now, Ms. Jones is in court with her mom because she's tired of the defendant constantly denying her child. She knows the DNA results will prove that he is the father, and she wants him to step up to his roles. The case begins like this.
Ms. Jones, you and your mother say you are tired of the defendant's denial. He's the biological father of your 6-month-old son, and once the DNA results prove your claim, you demand to be reimbursed for Baby Lyric's child care expenses. Is that correct?
Yes, Your
Ha 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 ha. He did not just tell the judge that he doesn't think for himself. Let's all assume he didn't understand the question. Ms. Jones says that she broke up with him because he is so immature and can't think for himself.
She was getting confronted of cheating on me.
But I ain't never cheated on him. I have never cheated on him.
But once
his family had him believe that I was the one who was cheating on him, and it was mainly you and your husband.
You're right, because me and my daughter were catching text messages coming through your phone.
What text messages?
You were answering
what text
your phone.
messages?
I've never seen people yap and yap and yap without making any communication or conversation. Mr. Houston and his mom claim that the actual reason for their breakup was because they confronted Ms. Jones about her cheating, and that's what led to all the yelling.
I don't know why they got their idea.
When you two were dating, were you dating anyone else?
No, I was with him. I was faithful to him.
So you broke up around prom, the time right before prom?
A week before prom.
When did you find out you were pregnant?
I found out June 3rd that I was pregnant.
That was honestly the same reaction that popped out of my face. Why'd she wait for 8 months before she decided it was finally the right time to tell them she was pregnant? That just builds room for a lot of suspicion. Something is not right with that story.
Out of the picture, you said it was between her and your son?
Yes, ma'am, because it's so much drama going on. When you call somebody 8 months pregnant and say, hey, I just found your number in my old phone, so hey, you guys are too much drama. I didn't want to tell you I was pregnant.
Her story is still not making any sense. She says that she didn't want to involve Mr. Houston's family or tell them about the pregnancy because they are such dramatic people, and she didn't want to deal with all the drama. Well, hello? Why is she telling them now? I mean, isn't this the same drama she was trying to avoid?
What does she have to
Wait,
do with
another girl pregnant?
Yeah, she didn't tell me until she found out she was pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor, that's how it happened.
How the heck I'm gonna know she's
Facebook,
pregnant? How I know you was dating her?
Pregnant, all of a sudden the phone call came.
Yeah.
Because you know these.
Yeah, so like I just
and you 18 years old.
Dating her.
And there they go again with the yelling. I'm not gonna lie, it's disappointing to see that both their moms allowed this kind of mess, especially Mr. Houston's mom. Her son literally has 2 ladies pregnant, and she's acting like it's not a big deal. What the hell?
Your Honor, I asked for DNA multiple times, more than 3 times, because I already knew that me telling them at 8 months that I was pregnant, I already knew it was probably gonna be like some denial. So I offered the DNA test. And then The mom was like,
So why did the coworker say somebody else was the baby daddy?
What coworker?
Manager said.
The manager.
The manager
Your
said,
Honor,
oh, you're one
Your
of the guys that she's claiming to be her baby daddy.
That's just wild. That's honestly just wild. Mr. Houston's mom claims that her son is one of multiple men who might be the father. She says that the manager of the store where Mr. Houston's new girlfriend works said something relating to her son being among other men who Ms. Jones thinks is the father of her child.
You are now Mr. Houston's
girlfriend.
And you also have a child together?
Yes.
Okay. When you were working, a co-worker told you something about Ms. Jones. Am I correct?
My manager did.
What did they say?
He seen Nigel come in and he said, is this the dude that dated Nakisha? And I said, yeah, that's him.
Well, Mr. Houston's girlfriend confirms that story. But then again, did the manager just pop out of the blues and say that? Or what led to him telling her that piece of information? Sounds really fishy to me.
You said that it's not about the timing, it's about the multiple men you were sleeping with.
Yes, ma'am.
What other evidence do you have that would suggest that Ms. Jones was sleeping with more than one person?
When she broke up with my son, she dropped him for another gentleman to go to prom with. When we were actually in the car with her, she answered the phone. There was a gentleman on the other line. She acted like she did not hear it.
Honestly, I believe Ms. Jones when she says they never tried to see her child. I mean, look at how they act in the courtroom. They don't even sound like people who want to be part of the baby's life.
His age, getting ready for your prom, you should be getting ready to go on to college. Figure out what you want to do with your life. Where are we now with this? Now we've got 2 children. Miss Hasty's had a baby. You have a baby. Miss Hasty, is Mr. Houston involved in your child's life?
Yes.
At least we know now that he wants to be the father of his girlfriend's child. He says that he hasn't been there for Ms. Jones's baby because he doesn't know if he is the father. Well, the DNA results are going to reveal that answer. And here they come.
Mr. Houston, you are the father.
Boom!
Miss Jones?
Ms. Upshaw has brought 4 of her daughter-in-law's children to have them tested and know if her son is the father of her kids. Crazy, right? She says that her son, Mr. Upshaw, married a loose woman, and she feels there's a high chance that the kids belong to other men. Well, here's how the case begins.
Ms. Upshaw, you have petitioned the court for DNA tests on 4 of your daughter-in-law's children. You say you have serious doubts because your son married, and I'll use your words, a loose woman who is rumored to have multiple lovers, including an old man whom she used for money. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow, that definitely threw me off balance. Even the crowd could not believe that she said something like that. Anyway, Ms. Mason, the woman with the kids, says that her soon-to-be ex-husband is nothing but a mummy's boy and he can't stand up to his meddling mother.
Well, let me just ask you, Ms. Mason, is this an outfit that you would wear, say, if you were going out with Mr. Mason on a date or something?
No, Your Honor. That's the clothes that I took at home.
And wear to the club.
Now, I never wore it to the club, but I will wear it to the club.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, since I met her, it's been nothing but drama, promiscuity.
Looks like Ms. Upshaw was not wrong for saying what she initially said. There's no way on earth Ms. Mason would actually wear that out of the house. I mean, what is she? A stripper? She can't be serious.
Your Honor, this young lady and him took it amongst themselves. I found out they was married on Facebook.
What? Jerome, hand me that.
They didn't even answer the phone for me for 2 weeks.
This is
my
what?
friend brought a Facebook post that was posted on Facebook. A young lady that I know brought up to my house said, your son married.
But why we gotta tell her everything? Me and her not together. Me and her son are together.
I'm sorry, but what did they just say? How do you get married and not tell your mother? Now they're making Ms. Upshaw look like she's crazy. It's very much her business if her son is getting married to someone she does not know.
I want to take care of my kid and I want to be there. That's all I want to do.
So, Mom, you shaking your head because you don't believe that these children are his.
Your Honor, I give the twins the benefit of the doubt of being my grandkids more than I do any other.
Let's start with Kayla.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to start with Kayla.
Yes, ma'am.
That's hilarious. Ms. Upshaw says that she doesn't feel Caleb, one of the kids in question, does not belong to her son because he has an old soul, and she also feels like the baby belongs to an old man she used to sleep with for money. I wonder what she's going to say next.
You had some older man that you were in a relationship with, and I want to be clear because she says sleep with an old man for money. Now I want to make sure I'm clear. Were you dating an older man?
No, he was just a friend.
So you're denying that there was ever a sexual relationship with the older man, or was there?
No, there was a sexual relationship. Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
That's honestly not shocking coming from his mouth. The battle here has always been between Ms. Upshaw and Ms. Mason. Mr. Mason admits to knowing that she slept with an old man, but still believes he is the father of the child. I guess we'll see.
I gave her the benefit of the doubt because twins runs on his daddy's side of the family. His daddy brother got a set of twins, and his grandma and sister got a set of twins. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Then somebody comes telling me this other guy baby. And I did all this involve myself and they're my babies. I love them twins.
she must really love those twins if she's getting emotional just talking about them. She says that she's built a bond with the twins and it would crush her heart if the results revealed that she is not the grandmother.
The twins come from the mother producing too many eggs. So she releases a bunch of eggs, the sperm's there, they make 2 babies. As far as the father of the baby's concerned, he can bring nothing to the union with the mom to make twins at that interaction. So they can be in his family. He could pass it on to grandchildren, but he could not cause her to have twins.
Ms. Upshaw's heart might be getting crushed. The expert judge Lauren brought in to talk about twins says that twins being formed have nothing to do with the male and that it's usually the female who's responsible for twins being formed. That didn't sit right with Ms. Upshaw.
Dramatized, like she said very fake. Like she's very fake.
Let me tell you something, y'all. Both of them fake. I'm gonna keep it like that. Both of them fake. I'm just sick and tired of it. It's just like I'm not with the drama. I'm not with it. I'm just ready to get the DNA test over with. All 4 of mine. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Take care of, be in that life.
I'm not even surprised they're about to get divorced. Having a mother-in-law like Ms. Upshaw would definitely drive you crazy. Mr. Upshaw is tired of their drama. All he wants to know is if the kids are his or not.
Listen, there's one more baby.
Yes, ma'am.
Brooklyn, 1 month old. Beautiful little girl. You have doubts surrounding the paternity of Brooklyn as well.
Ma'am, young, this is my first time ever seeing that little baby right here.
You've never seen her?
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
Then
You never saw her either? Did you have it?
Ain't say me, I'm talking about mom.
Did you ever have an opportunity to see?
Ma'am, on my way, the day when I taught the show and I had talked to someone who about the show, my son had talked to, I got on the train, I was going downtown.
Once again, it's really not shocking that she's seeing that baby for the first time. They kept their marriage a secret. I doubt there's nothing they can't keep from here. Oh well, enough with their drama. Here are the results from the DNA test.
Mr. Mason, you are the father. Are you ready for the next result, Miss Mason?
Yes.
When it comes to 1 month old Brooklyn Mason, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are the father. When it comes to 2-year-old twins, Carrie and Kawan Mason, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are the father.
Woo.
To buy baby supplies for a child whom he already denied. He wants the court to refund him all the money he spent in taking care of the child because he knows that he is not the father of the baby. Here's how he starts his case.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496 and for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jett, in response to Mr. Harvey's suit, you have petitioned the court father and say it's time he steps up and...
Excuse me? She got pregnant 2 weeks after they slept with each other? That doesn't sound right. I mean, it takes only once to get pregnant, but 2 weeks seems way too early for her to say that she's pregnant.
I started dating Harvey. Every day.
Moved in with
Yes,
him?
I did. And every day we had sex every day.
You got pregnant
non-stop.
2 weeks.
I didn't find out till I was
So we had sex the first week I met.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it was the second
I didn't
week.
find out.
All this yapping. Jeez. Can one person talk? Apparently, Ms. Jett claims that she found out she was pregnant 1 month after they had been having constant sexual relations. Even that story still sounds a little too good to be true.
We stopped talking. She moved back to Orlando. She wrote.
Why'd you stop talking?
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Okay, so there was a...
Aha! Now the stories are beginning to add up. Apparently their breakup happened as a result of Mr. Harvey cheating on her with several women. That's one truth bomb. I'm sure there's more on the way.
1 diapers, 2 baby wipes, 3 pacifiers, 9 a nursing pillow that I showed.
Yes, I said that.
And this is all before the baby's born.
Yes, but
then you responded back.
Okay.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm even surprised Mr. Harvey decided to buy all the items on her funny list. It's even crazy that the baby had not been born before she sent the list to him. She has to be one delusional young woman.
When did you start putting 2 and 2 together? Be specific.
Okay, when I first met Sade, she got pregnant fast, and then we stopped talking. Okay, she was in a relationship.
Your Honor, I didn't
She said she was in a sexual relationship.
Your Honor,
That's
Your
one.
Honor, Your Honor.
And another thing is she had the baby
I didn't
and
start-
tagged the dude's name in the picture.
That's actually crazy. Mr. Harvey says that his doubts started to pop up when he found out on Facebook that Ms. Jett posted a picture of the baby and tagged another man, claiming that he was the baby daddy. What's even worse is that Mr. Harvey's family members told him about the whole thing.
At all. And I actually have proof that I actually wrote the dude and I said, hey, my daughter, you tagged yourself in the picture. And he said, oh, I'm I'm sorry.
I don't know what
Why would this guy, Miss Jed? Why would this
And
guy?
you don't know what you got.
He said that maybe it was an accident that he.
Oh, come on. She can't be serious right now. Does she think she's talking to kids? How can someone randomly pick up her phone and tag himself as the baby daddy of her child, knowing fully that the child already has a dad? Yeah, right.
Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500, and plus her feeding is double that.
I'm suing you for what I got a receipt for.
Okay, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is.
It's starting to get real dicey. Ms. Jett claims that the amount Mr. Harvey is asking her to return is only a fraction of what she spends on her baby, so she doesn't understand why he's making a big deal about the whole thing.
You haven't seen the baby since July. So, Mr. Harvey, your doubt is just based on a Facebook post?
No, it's not that. It's not that, Your Honor.
What is it?
Okay, and then another thing is, after she had the baby, she was trying to get pregnant again.
Haha. And just like that, another truth bomb hits the floors of the courtroom. Mr. Harvey says that he went through her phone and he saw some texts where she was telling another guy to pay for an abortion. Guess what? She was not pregnant at the time.
All I know is that when she had the baby, looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes. And all his brothers look alike, his brother's kids look alike.
And I have
they have the same heads. Our family have big eyes. His children look just alike from different moms.
Could she have a point or be onto something? Mr. Harvey's aunt says that the baby does not look like anybody in their family. She very much doubts that Mr. Harvey is the father of the baby. But then again, kids don't necessarily have to look like their dad all the time.
He called me and told me that Shadasia was pregnant.
I didn't meet.
No, he hadn't met me, but you called me and told me my daughter is pregnant and how I shouldn't worry about you leaving.
I did not know.
At this point, it's honestly hard to believe anybody right now. Ms. Jett's mother says that Mr. Harvey called her and told her that she should not be worried about him leaving when the baby is born. I think it's time for us to see the results.
Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey, V. Jett. Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey. Mr. Harvey are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine.
Impregnated, Miss Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Stremke, why is your family falling apart?
And now Mr. Jaramillo doubts that both of his children belong to him. It all began like this. That's right, Mrs. Stremke. Children are extremely wise, and you don't want your child to grow up in that sort of situation. Mr. Jaramillo says this is regrettable, but he really can't do anything about it since the paternity issues get brought up in fights.
When you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my son's father and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up where I had slept with another man. And this is before me and Mr. Jaramillo had gotten together.
Now, Mr. Jaramillo had never met this friend before, but he believed every word she said. Mrs. Stremke, of course, knew the friend in question and argued that it was all a lie.
Which I really don't understand, because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
She said that the baby that Miss Stremke had.
Another thing is that Ms. Stremke and Mr. Jaramillo had only been together for about a month before Ms. Stremke told him that she was pregnant. To make things worse, Naviana was born about 3 weeks early, which makes it seem like the child truly doesn't belong to Mr. Jaramillo. Instead, it's for the man Ms. Stremke slept with before meeting him.
About the time that the other males were present.
I was upfront with you and told you that there was one other person before we had gotten together.
You said one other person, and then came another fellow that your best friend told me about.
I had never slept with anybody but one person besides you, and that was before we had gotten together.
What about the second daughter? What doubts does Mr. Jaramillo have about her? And exactly how did he get those doubts? The answer will probably surprise you.
Well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore. And that's when we ended up deciding to spice up our sex life and everything. And we ended up having a female-female threesome with him. So he got to pick another woman.
Mr. Jaramillo's friend didn't come over for pancakes. He came over for a different sort of cake. Mr. Jaramillo invited his friend to have intercourse with his wife, and none of the 3 people involved used any sort of protection. Imagine if they did. It would have protected both of them from showing up in paternity court today.
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Miss Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's going to do something, it has to be on the spot. So to get it done and over with.
Look, if you want to spice up your marriage, here's some good advice. Don't invite other people into it. If you want to add more excitement to your marriage, go see a movie, get on a jet, and go for a vacation. Anyway, let's find out who the child's birth father is.
Comes to 8-month-old Alexis Jaramillo. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Miss Petty has been sleeping with 2 men simultaneously, using one to get back at her ex, and at the same time keeping him in her life because of the baby she already has for him. What a woman. Could there be more to the story? I guess we're going to find out. This is about to be one.
Came to me and was like, I still love you, Ania.
Whoops. After having the older child together, they had the option of staying together and raising the boy. They obviously did not take that option. In the heavens, did they keep messing around with one another? It honestly makes zero sense. I mean, were they not thinking there could be consequences? Commitment must be too much for your pretty head. If you choose a man, the whole point of it all is to stay with that one man. Nothing like staying with a man and still going back to your ex-boyfriend. But here, if Ms. Petty claims that her current boyfriend put his name on the certificate because he knows the lies Stefan told her, how come she's still sitting at his feet, eating up all those lies? Those lies gotta taste hella good, if you know what I mean.
He don't want to be around for her. He didn't even give her the chance, to get to know him. Child support, he avoided DNA testing for my daughter.
Whoa. Ms. Petty really thinks that he already knows in his gut and is trying to run away from his responsibilities. What if he doesn't, though? What if he's just a man that keeps projecting off of the fact that he really does not know if it's his baby or not? Ballet acting like he never did anything wrong too. Talking about how Ms. Petty keeps ruining his relationship. Why did he have to keep sleeping around with his ex as well? Come on. It definitely was consensual sex. Time, or there are more times. After every single moment Mr. Daniels has had with the baby, imagine ripping his heart out of his chest and tearing it to pieces, telling him that he's not the father. Together last week, as per some days ago, isn't that the most messed up thing? It seems like it would really never end. Well, now both dads want full custody. Isn't that something? Let's find out if the baby belongs to Mr. Daniels or Mr. Hands Down His Boxers. Ms. Reinhardt believes that Ms. Crow claims her late son, J.C. Turner, is her baby daddy just so she can get death benefits. However, Ms. Crow says her son Thomas is a result of the love she and J.C. shared while he was alive. Let us find out more.
Crow, you have summoned the defendant to court to prove that her deceased son, J.C. Turner, fathered your 2-year-old son, Thomas. You want Thomas to know who his father is, and you say that Ms. Reinhardt has done everything she can to sabotage your efforts. Is that correct?
It's always difficult to get through a case where the alleged father is dead because we don't get to hear his side of the story. Now, all we've got is what his mom knows, or what she thinks she knows.
I would like help with my son, yes, of course, but my son cannot grow and to know who his family is.
And to this point, he doesn't have any real knowledge of his father. You have not talked to him about his father, or have you?
I have.
You have.
It's nice of Ms. Crow to give father and son the opportunity to bond over the phone, but I'm curious to find out the rest of the story. How did JC's mom know nothing about this? Well, there's only one way to find out.
I understand.
My son and I had a very tight relationship, and Jay would tell me everything when nobody else was around. I knew my son inside and out. And I just don't, as a mother, as a grandmother, having 4 babies of my own.
It looks like it's going to be a tough one because Ms. Reinhardt isn't even on the fence about it. She's totally confident the baby is not her grandchild. But why?
Became inseparable. We, developed, feelings, and it did happen all too fast. He did ask me to be his girlfriend, and we did have unprotected sex as well. So there's no doubt in my mind that Jay's the father. I did not sleep with anybody else in that time when I was with him.
How could she possibly be so sure? Although her relationship with JC was fast-paced, the progression was pretty normal. 2 people met, fell in love, slept together, and the woman got pregnant. Ms. Crow's story is quite convincing.
Well, that's your own opinion.
That's your own opinion. The mental capacity of a 16-year-old.
And this and you know what? He had feelings.
He was schizophrenic.
He had feelings.
He was schizophrenic, and he had...
Okay. And I took care of him.
And my son...
I didn't leave him because of that.
Now this is hilarious for so many reasons. Ms. Reinhardt's little technique to identify her grandchildren is just ridiculous. Besides, the pictures look identical, don't they? That baby looks like grandma to me. But again, we cannot be so sure.
Silly sense of humor like Jay. He likes to dance like Jay. And, just right there, you can see it. Like his hair, that is Jay. And, there are things about him that are a lot like me.
Ms. Reinhardt says the baby doesn't look like her, and Ms. Crow's like, that's okay because the baby looks like his father. Even though both metrics don't matter in the long run, Ms. Crow currently has the upper hand.
I have a bowed left leg. My daughter has a bowed left leg. JC was pigeon-toed from birth. So JC lived being severely pigeon-toed all his life.
And you believe this baby does not have that characteristic, which furthers your doubt.
Here we go again with all the features. Can we please cut to the chase and be serious for once? This is no joking matter. This grandma needs to understand that the case is more serious than this.
That we would come across friends, but we didn't know he had conversations with, pregnant with my baby. He's really happy, he's excited. He never denied my child, and I knew for a fact that, he's the father because I haven't been with anybody else.
Ms. Crow made a good choice in breaking up with JC for the safety of herself and her 2 other kids. Nobody mentioned these kids until now. Guess they're not so relevant to the case.
Of another man that
my
she was
boyfriend.
with.
That's not his father. He was Jamaican. Does he look half Jamaican? And I lost my father the same year my son lost his father. So there's no reason why I would be up here for no reason. I'm doing this for my son.
You can tell Ms. Reinhardt is trying so hard to look for proof that the baby's not JC's. Now she brings up the issue of Ms. Crow's Jamaican boyfriend when the baby doesn't even look the least bit Jamaican.
Okay, good for you.
I was there for 2 hours with his best friend.
I didn't want to go and be around you. You see how you act?
Now that is one tough question. You broke up with the man and he only hung out with his son once. You had 9 months before he passed, but didn't do anything until you saw his obituary?
I didn't even know when the baby was born because I wasn't in contact.
Jay knew.
Jay knew. He's
knew.
Supposedly the alleged father, not.
It don't have to be alleged because we're gonna find out today.
So
You're
listen.
gonna see for yourself.
Yes, we are.
I can let my scab.
It is glaring how much these 2 women can't stand themselves. And it is sad because they're losing sight of what matters at the moment, the baby. Their arguments are both valid, but the baby's paternity is at stake.
That's your son.
He was mad with me because he believed that I was stealing his money. I was the one making sure his bills were paid. I was the one making sure he had a...
But when she left and he was evicted,
he had a
and I was there and he had no money, he didn't have nowhere to go. I paid for him a place to stay.
Good question, because we can't push all the blame on Ms. Crow. Ms. Reinhardt was his mother at the end of the day. And if indeed he had the mental capacity of a 16-year-old, how did she leave him all alone?
This is serious because JC is gone now.
Yeah,
he's no longer with us, but this baby, who's potentially his biological child, is here, 2 years old. Only seen his father one time, and the mother...
The 2 women could keep going on and on and on, but there's no time for that. It's time to see what the results say, so Ms. Crow will know if she's getting those death benefits or not. Please read the results out, Judge Lake, and let us resolve this case once and for all.
It has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Ms. Reinhardt and Thomas is 99.6% you are related.
Thick with tension. On one side stood Bishop House, a man of God and a leader in his community, now entangled in a paternity battle that threatened his reputation. On the other hand, Ms. Webster was a young woman caught between multiple lovers, searching for the truth about her child's father. And waiting just outside, another possible dad, Miles Jones, was unaware of the storm he was about to enter. He'd come to court to clear his name, but his confidence cracked as the details spilled out. The woman accusing him of fathering her child, 28 years younger. And if that wasn't scandalous enough, she admitted, without hesitation, that she had been with 3 different men during the time of conception. 3 men, 1 baby, and a test that would expose everything, from scripture to scandal. House had met Webster in Buffalo, fresh off a new assignment as a traveling pastor, but being a man of the cloth didn't mean he was immune to temptation. And by his own admission, he had manly needs. After a few conversations and a shared understanding of personal loss, they became more than just Bible meet. That was a different story. She claimed they met at church. He insisted it was a fast food joint, a small detail, but in a case like this, every contradiction mattered. Regardless of where their paths first crossed, one thing was certain. This wasn't a love story. It was a lust story. House made it clear. This was nothing but a casual hookup, a booty call, as he put it. And he hadn't been careful for a man who claimed to be so careful with his reputation. Late night rendezvous with House, she also saw Miles Jones. And unlike the bishop, Jones actually believed they had something real. What started as a few weeks of casual fun had turned into a committed relationship. At least he thought so.
I think that, maybe in the right atmosphere, we could probably, make a relationship and go a little bit. further as time went along.
So, Ms. Webster, please tell us a little bit about the relationship as you saw it.
We met through my aunt.
But what he didn't know, that while he was bringing her flowers, House was bringing her something else entirely. Jones had been clueless about Webster's other relationships. He had no idea another man was in the picture, let alone someone with House's status. So when he learned the truth, when Webster told him she was 6 months pregnant, he didn't hesitate. He stepped up, paid for things, stayed by her side, named the baby after himself, and signed some papers at the hospital, believing, this is my... But House? He vanished, left town without a word. His excuse? He never knew she was pregnant, never got a call, never received a message. Yet, Webster's aunt somehow managed to track him down through his church organization. And just 30 days ago, the phone rang. There's a woman saying you left her with child. That was all it took to drag him into court. And now, here they were, the moment of truth. As the judge unfolded the envelope, the tension was unbearable. For House, this was everything. He had built his life on morality, faith, and leadership. If this child was his, it wasn't just personal, it was public. For Jones, this was validation. He had invested time, energy, money, and love into this child, giving everything, only to find himself doubting if any of it was real. And for Webster, this was Judgment Day. The judge took a breath, looked at the paper, and then, the biological father of baby Emilian is Miles Jones. Silence. Then, an explosion of emotions. Jones exhaled, his face a mix of relief and devastation. He had suspected it, but hearing it out loud, it shook him. Haggard, gripping the edge of the podium. All that bravado, all that certainty, it evaporated in an instant. He had spent the entire trial denying the possibility. He was confronted with the truth. He was never this child's father. And Webster, she simply nodded. The weight of her choices and mistakes, it all came crashing down. Final verdict. Justice had spoken. Deception, doubts, and a desperate search for the truth led to this moment. As the courtroom emptied, one thing was clear. Secrets always surface. And when they do, the truth doesn't just set you free, it shocks you to your core.
Mr. Miles Jones, you are not her father. Mr. House, it has been determined by this court.
Ms. Johnson and Ms. Davis appear in court to find out if the defendant, Mr. Johnson, is actually their father. At their mother's funeral, a different man showed up, claiming he was their father, and now they want to get to the bottom of the whole drama. Mr. Johnson says that he has always had doubts, but that never stopped him from being a father to the girls. Oh well, here's how it starts.
You are here in court today to finally find out if the defendant is your biological father. You both claim at your mother's funeral, a different man approached you and announced,
at the time, I haven't seen my mother in 4 years. I was at work, and that's how I found out that my mother had passed away.
Even Judge Lauren can't hide her shock. That would definitely throw her off balance. The fact that something like that even happened at her mother's funeral is just mind-blowing. But where has the man been all this while?
And what was...
I told him, that these are my kids. Supposed to be father, was actually a friend of her grandfather's.
You knew this man already?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you grew up knowing this is just a friend of your family?
Seems to me like the only person to blame for this misunderstanding was their mother. Ms. Johnson tells the judge that when her mother was alive, she would sometimes say that Mr. Johnson was their father, and other times she would say the other man was also their father.
She would tell me, I'm unhappy while I was at work. Come on, every man, every woman knows when their partner's cheating on them. And,
did you ever catch her? Did you ever witness firsthand?
I caught her in the man's apartment, but actually caught her activity, no.
That had to have broken his heart. Mr. Johnson says that their mom told him that she was cheating. She constantly nagged about him not spending time with her and how she was unhappy about it. Looks like she found a way to stay happy. Sadly, she left a mess behind.
That's my divorce papers.
So this is a final judgment of divorce.
Yes, Your Honor.
It says the defendant,
yes, Your Honor.
And that would be you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
So she relinquished her parental rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Mr. Johnson, you raised these children on your own.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a man being the perfect example of a good father. He shows Judge Lauren evidence that states that their mother waved away her parental rights to her daughters. I wonder what type of mother would do such a thing to her children. At least they had Mr. Johnson. Thank God for that.
I know this is tough, sir. I do. You were there for all the monumental moments.
I mean, I was the one that taught them how to be a young lady, how to take care of themselves. That was a fun. That was fun. But thank God, me being a tattoo artist.
I mean, she couldn't have said it any better. Mr. Johnson is truly a good man. Even though he had doubts about the kid, he stood up to his responsibilities and took very good care of their girls. I really hope he is the father for real.
I loved my first wife. That was the mother of my children. But and my children know, I used to pay their mother to see them. And that's the reason why it was so long, why they didn't see the mother, having to give her money just to spend time with the kids.
Oh, I understand. You're saying when you had the girl, you wanted the girls to see her.
Man, that is horrible. She has to be the worst mother on God's green earth. Why would you have to be paid to see your own kids? With that type of character, it's not surprising she left them in such a messy situation.
And there was a little boy there, and her mother told her that was her half-brother or something. And that is also the same one that fathered, the same guy that supposedly fathered her, fathered that child too.
And you were introduced to a little boy and told this was your half-brother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Honestly, they aren't wrong. Kids should not have to deal with things this complicated at a very young age. Imagine not having your mother around and still being introduced to a stepbrother. That's just very messed up. Their mom should have honestly done better.
There's a lot of doubts. My middle sister, I could see my father.
That's Miss Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Davis, I love her to pieces.
It's okay, sweet.
But
you,
some.
You don't see your father.
No, ma'am.
And that hurts you to have to say.
That is honestly so sad. Everyone is so emotional right now. Their brother walks into the courtroom and he says that there's so much doubt surrounding the paternity of both ladies. One looks like their father and the other just doesn't fit the description. They must really hate their mom right now.
From what he was told, I was just the man that raised her. And that was like taking a knife and stabbing it in my heart. I got upset about it. I actually confronted Melinda about it.
You did. Miss Davis, can you explain what happened? Was there a time when you just felt...
Jeez, everything just keeps stabbing Mr. Johnson in the heart. He has honestly been through so much having to raise these girls on his own. Well, let's see if the DNA results are going to mend all of that damage.
Mr. Johnson Sr., you are his father. Now we'll move on to the results for Miss Johnson. Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father. In the case of Johnson Davis v. Johnson, Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father.
Mr. Wiseman is furious as hell. Why? Well, he allowed his good friend to move in with him and his girlfriend, and this good friend of his ended up kicking it in bed with his girlfriend. Now, he fears that his best friend might be the father of their child. Could he be right? Oh well, here's how he opens his case.
You claim he repaid your generosity by sleeping with your girlfriend in a paternity dispute over which of you fathered 2-year-old Brett Wiseman. Mr. New, you claim when you first moved in, your relationship with Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend...
You're speechless, right? Trust me, I am too. In what world does something like this even happen? Mr. New, the supposed good friend, says that he is very protective of Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend because he believes she's carrying his baby. Wow.
How did you even find out Mr. New had slept with your girlfriend?
Somebody in her family came and told me.
What did that person tell you?
We told him ourselves, Your Honor, once we started back
What did that person tell you?
You know, they was becoming too close of friends, and they finally told me, like, look, we know for a fact that...
I don't know, man. It feels like there are loopholes in his story. Mr. Wiseman tells the judge that one of his girlfriend's family members told him that she had been sleeping with his friend Mr. New. That definitely can't be the only way he found out she was cheating.
She was at her grandma's house because they was already broke up because he cheated on her so many times and she was letting it go. Knew about it.
Okay.
Knew about it.
She's
knew
the
about
cheater.
it and
just
all
like
that.
That's why he's so protected. He's so protected because you have to be with her. Because if you ain't stuck up her butt 24/7.
I knew something wasn't adding up with the story Mr. Wiseman was telling. Mr. New says that the only reason his girlfriend was cheating on him was because he had cheated on her numerous times with other women. Honestly, I think it's time we actually hear her own side of the story. These grown men are just going at each other like two best friends in high school. Jeez, if they can't get the story right, at least the lady involved is gonna make some sense from the mess.
And then having sexual relations with other women. She never told him that she knew that, so he thought it was all cool. He was
cheating on her.
Yes, he always accused her of cheating when she wasn't. So she did sleep with my cousin a year or two before I even knew him.
I mean, our first 8 months together, she cheated on me with her ex.
That certainly clears the air. Looks like she's the only man in the situation. She said her part plain and simple without acting like a drama queen the way the men in question did. Oh well. She admits to cheating on Mr. Wiseman and she blames it on the fact that they were having issues in their relationship.
You know, and then when I found out about him, so yeah, I definitely had doubts.
Had you found out about Mr. New before you found out Miss Duncan was pregnant or after?
Kind of before. I mean, I was being told. I was definitely being told by her family that they was sleeping together.
So you heard the rumors?
Yeah.
Hold on. If that's the case, why is Mr. New claiming to be the father? Mr. Wiseman tells the judge that Ms. Duncan had him believe all along that he was the father of the child. Something isn't right, and I can smell it.
Bro, she just plays both parts. She keeps me there and him there. That's all she does.
I know what happened.
Yeah, and he was just
I'm
a
there
friend.
every day now supporting your kids, bro.
Okay, no, you ain't.
They're your kids, bro.
So hold on, Mr. New.
And when Brett's old enough, I bet he does. I bet he does, because I'm the only one does anything for him.
I agree. It's an absolute mess. I'm pretty sure Mr. Wiseman was not prepared to hear that. Ms. Duncan drops a truth bomb and says that she and Mr. New are engaged. Aside from that, she's pregnant with his child. Ouch.
Mr. Wiseman, when you look at Brett, do you see a resemblance?
No.
You don't?
I mean, even with my oldest kid, she was with her boyfriend for 8 months, with me and both of them, then got pregnant with him.
So now you're stating in court today that there's potentially another?
Talk about a mess. It's like they just keep making babies and nobody wants to own up to being responsible for them. You know what? I think it's time we get to the results. That would definitely help us sort out their messy situation.
It has been determined that the biological father is Mr. Wiseman.
Bet he don't.
Well,
Ms. Lima appears in the courtroom, admitting that she made a huge mistake by getting into an affair with the defendant, Mr. who happens to be married. Mr. Anderson hopes that he is not the father of the child because that would mean his life would be over. It's a big mess, but here's how it all starts.
Ms. Lima, you admit to making a huge mistake and hope it doesn't affect your baby Christina. You had an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married, and believe he's your daughter's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
On the first night, they had sex on the first night of just meeting up? Wow. Seems to me like that was the whole idea behind their meeting. I very much doubt they wanted anything romantic. Kicking it in bed on the first night clearly states that.
So I couldn't make the trip, so I got on Facebook and I told him, and a few minutes later, his Miss Anderson, she inboxed me and say, like, who are you? So I'm like, well, I said, I'm his girlfriend of a year, so who are you? She was like, well, I'm his wife of 10 years.
Damn, I'm pretty sure both Ms. Lima and Mr. Anderson's wife would have been very shocked to meet themselves in a manner like that. Let's just say Mr. Anderson was playing his game really well to keep them apart for that long because Ms. Lima said she never knew he was married.
I decided to go out and take Miss Lima out one night, and me and her went out to, the hotel. I brought her roses and...
This night, or is Miss Lima's assertion that this went on, she told your wife she was your girlfriend for a year?
Well, it does take just one time to make a baby. But then again, I can't believe that Mr. Anderson cheated on his wife just because they had a really bad argument. You can tell his wife is pissed and hurt to her bone. She's in disbelief that he could actually do such a thing.
Was it strange to you that you only saw him on Saturdays and Sundays, or you thought he was working during the week?
Not really, because I went to his house numerous of times, but...
Wait, excuse me.
I went to his house numerous of times, and I told her what was in her house, and I described it to her.
Oh, my God. Hold on. Mr. Anderson, where was your family when you would take this woman to your home?
That is just awful. Apparently, Mr. Anderson lied in the courtroom. He initially said that he met Ms. Lima just once, but that was not the case. Ms. Lima says that they met every weekend for almost 2 years, and there were times she even went to his home.
You got this young woman over here describing I'm mad for her.
For some money. She's looking for a cash out.
That's not the case at all. That's not.
Well, if she's looking for a cash out, you gave her the directions because you to your treasure.
He honestly needs to be schooled, and I love that Judge Lauren is not sparing him one bit. He says that Ms. Lima is just looking to get some cash from him. Well, he is the one who led her to where the treasure is, like Judge Lauren said. It's just sad that he did this to his lovely wife.
Family at first. I couldn't contact him, so I went to his family, and I got rejected by them. So I was like, well, that really hurted me, so I was just like, well, let me move to the other person that I had sex with during that time.
Oh, hold on. Let me understand this. So you did sleep with another man during the window of conception during that time?
Oh my goodness. They had sex again? Honestly, I doubt Mr. Anderson is sorry about what he did. Oh well, Ms. Lima says that Mr. Anderson was not the only person she had sex with during the window of conception.
Once we messaged each other, I asked her for her phone number because I want to talk on the phone. You understand? And when she was telling me the things that she was telling me, my whole world it caved in. Like, are you serious? This is my husband.
Because you all have built a lot together.
Believe me, I screamed Jesus when she said they have 5 kids together. Mr. Anderson has to be the most inconsiderate human being on earth right now. How can you build so much with your wife and still do her dirty like this? That's very sad and disappointing.
Baby daddy is.
Okay, we're gonna find out today, though.
Really?
Find out today,
Really?
though. Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh my God, this hurts really bad. And I try to keep it together for my children. But it really, really hurts. And just to know that there could be another baby in my family, like, come on.
And truthfully, your marriage.
She's right if we're being honest. It's too late to say he is sorry. He should have known he would end up in such a situation. Who cheats on their wife and then comes to say they're sorry? Come on. He hid it from her for 2 years.
Clear on that?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the situation?
Well, the situation was when I first met Mrs. Lima, come February, I took her flowers to a job site, took her out to eat on Valentine's Day, and then in March we had a sexual intercourse.
At least she was honest with him. The other man Ms. Lima was sleeping with walks into the courtroom and says that Ms. Lima told him that there's a chance that Mr. Anderson could also be the father of the baby because she was sleeping with the both of them at the same time.
But that's all right. You better go ahead and practice you some law, baby. Go ahead.
He didn't go to any doctor's appointments or anything like that.
Okay. And that's a very important part of being pregnant.
Correct.
You know. Was Mr. Anderson involved at all?
No, he wasn't there neither.
Okay, and these are the only...
It looks like he wants the child to be his, but he just had doubts about the whole thing. Let's get down to the results. It's time we see if Mr. Anderson's actions have shattered his family.
Is the father of 1-year-old Christina. Mr. Scott, you are not her father.
Wrongly accused of fatherhood. The stakes? A 10-month-old baby boy named King and a DNA test that will finally put the debate to rest. Miss Lockridge isn't just here for answers, but for accountability. She says she's 100% certain that Tidwell is the father, and she's had enough of his absence.
Ms. Lockridge, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Tidwell, to court because he has refused to acknowledge your 10-month-old son, King. You are 100% sure he's the father and claim today's results will prove your case.
But Tidwell isn't buying it. He suspects that Ms. Lockridge is up to something. He claims they were never in a serious relationship, just casual hookups, and he was completely blindsided when she dropped the pregnancy news.
Mr. Tidwell, you say you were never in a serious relationship with Ms. Lockridge and you were stunned when she told you she was pregnant. The timing leads you to suspect that baby King's father must be another man.
According to Ms. Lockridge, he hasn't lifted a finger to help with diapers or clothes, yet he had the nerve to name the child King. The irony isn't lost on her. How is she supposed to raise a king without his father in the picture? However, Tidwell suspects there's another man in the picture.
Rich, tell me about Mr. Tidwell's relationship with your son.
Your Honor, Mr. Tidwell does not have a relationship with my son. The only time he's actually seen my son is when I've made it a convenience for him and brought him to him. That means traveling 4 hours on bus, driving 2 hours on the car to drive to him. He hasn't helped with diapers. He barely helped with any clothes, and it hurts. It's frustrating. He named my son King.
As the courtroom heats up, we get two completely different stories. Lockridge insists they were in a relationship for at least a year, while Tidwell says it was nothing more than 6 years of casual flings. And then there's the bombshell. She left town for 2 years and had another child. Tidwell suggests that the child could be his too, but Lockridge shuts that down immediately.
So take me back to this relationship. I want to understand all
There
this.
was no relationship.
Just, what, casual sex?
Yes.
We were on and off for 6 years. We were together for my understanding, how he led me to believe I was single or I was with him in a committed relationship for at least a year. And then I was my side, my personal opinion. We were together for a year.
Then comes the real drama. How did he find out about the pregnancy? He didn't hear it from her directly. She left an ultrasound and a note on his bed. No conversation, no warning, just a silent bombshell. Tidwell says this only fueled his doubts. Why not tell him face to face?
You said she's done some things that make you feel like you weren't the only person she was sleeping with at time
I wasn't.
King was conceived. Tell the court.
She has another guy that she was sleeping with, not personally, but we weren't.
There was nobody else.
We weren't
Snoop,
in a-
I'm not gonna drive. I'm not gonna ride the bus 4 hours.
We were not
Take
in a
3
serious
buses to
relationship
come
or
sleep
no
with you
type
if I
of-
got.
Tidwell maintains that another man is responsible for the pregnancy, and she's trying to pin it on him. Lockridge disagrees. She told the court that she was afraid of his reaction and didn't want a scene in front of his brother.
Ms. Lockridge, you leave the ultrasound picture in the note. You agree to
Oh,
that?
I totally did because he invited his brother over. His brother was there. That's the sole purpose why I did not tell him I was pregnant. This
Or
is how
call
you
me-
react. I'm not fixing to have this reaction in front of your brother when I find out I'm finally pregnant. I finally get something from you.
Lockridge says she went to great lengths to be with Tidwell. 4-hour bus rides, countless messages, even recordings of their baby's heartbeat. But when it came time to give birth, she did it alone. 36 grueling hours in labor, no father in sight. Tidwell says that's not his fault. He had a job and wasn't about to drop everything for a child he wasn't even sure was his.
During that time, time. Is he participating at all?
Not at all. Not at all. He didn't care about. I texted him when I was every doctor's appointment, all my weight gains, the weight changes. I even sent him voice recordings of the heartbeat, all that, like the works. When I had my son, I was in labor for 36 hours. Completely by myself, to the point where the nurse that was with me.
The judge had to call on Deborah, Tidwell's mother, to get more insight into Ms. Lockridge's relationship with her son. But as expected, she sided with her son despite her son admitting to being intimate with Lockridge.
Mr. Tidwell's mother.
Yes.
What do you believe, ma'am? Do you believe this is your grandson?
She is very obsessed with my son.
I'm not obsessed. I was in love with him.
All she talked about is how much she wants to be with him and how she's got a prayer closet at home for him.
Now all the back and forth is about to be settled once and for all. Ms. Lockridge seems to have some merits. Is Tidwell Baby King's father, or has Lockridge been fighting the wrong battle all along? The DNA test results are in.
Mr. Tidwell are not his father.
Mercedes Henderson had grown up believing Walter Henderson was her father. She carried his last name and waited for the warmth of acceptance that never came. Instead, she was treated differently from her siblings. It gnawed at her. Deep inside, she always knew something was off.
Ms. Henderson, you claim that you believed Mr. Henderson was your biological father, but at the age of 15, Mr. Rycroft claimed he is your dad. You are doubtful and have opened today's case to get the truth.
And then, at 15, another name surfaced, William Rycroft. There are people that come hoping to be the father. That's not William. He wasn't just some man from the past. He was convinced. He knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was his child.
Mr. Rycroft, you say you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Ms. Henderson is your daughter. You are here with her mother's twin sister, who claims that she too is certain you are the biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
He had been waiting, hoping. The connection was instant when they met, or so he believed. You know that feeling when you see what is yours? Okay, you don't know, but still, William held her like a long-lost daughter, but Mercedes needed more than feelings. She needed proof.
Start with you. How has life been without knowing who your father is?
You know, it's lonely. My kids, they want to know their grandparents. And my daughter, she tells me all the time, Mom, we're going to find your dad. So, you know, I'm just ready. I want to be close to somebody. Be close to them.
Her Aunt Sharon, twin sister to Mercedes' late mother, stood firmly in William's corner. Sharon has seen similarities between William and Mercedes. Her late sister told her that William was Mercedes' father and that she was certain that the DNA would agree.
And then just to know that my sister's resting in her grave and that my niece needs to know who her family really is. I mean, I just need to know too for sure so she can get a peace of mind so we can all move on. But the point is, either way it go.
And then there was Walter, the man she had called her father her entire life. He had been married to her mother, so why did he doubt it? His answer was chilling. She had left California to visit family in Arkansas. When she returned, she was suddenly pregnant. Walter had his suspicions, but instead of demanding the truth, he made a cruel bargain.
Cheated, or you assumed this is my baby? She was pregnant before she left.
Well, Your Honor, actually, when I talked to her, I told her, if it's the girl, it's ours. If it's the boy, you got to go.
Oh, so you had an inkling, you had a suspicion
that it wasn't mine.
Are you on the birth certificate?
No.
He never asked for a test, never fought to be sure. Walter had taken her in, but always at arm's length. He was a father on paper, but probably not in heart. Still, the past often comes calling when you least expect it. However, the biggest revelation was yet to come.
My sister, when it comes to telling the truth on certain things, they'll beat around the bush. And like she didn't answer him when she came back, she didn't tell her the truth either.
Why do you think your sister didn't tell the truth?
Mercedes' mother had been involved with both men, her husband Walter and William, the secret lover. Their affair was a hushed-up scandal buried beneath years of deception. Sharon, the aunt, had always known. But was it her place to tell? But now, no more secrets, no more lies. The results are in, and the judge starts with the secret lover.
Relates to this other gentleman. The probability of paternity was determined to be 0.00%. He's not your biological father.
Get the medic, get the medic.
Someone call the medic, please.
Well, that leaves either Henderson or William as the father. Could Mercedes' aunt be telling the truth about William? If she is, how does she start navigating the relationship? Is Mr. Henderson about to lose someone he had accepted as his daughter all this while?
Mr. Henderson, you are not the father.
appears Mercedes' aunt might be saying the truth after all. Twins share a deep bond, so it's safe to say her sister has been real with her. A single piece of paper held the truth Mercedes had been waiting her whole life for. Nothing can go wrong now.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Rycroft, you are not the father.
You are, Dad.
I'm so sorry.
Monica Myers had spent her entire life in the dark, haunted by a question that no child should ever have to ask. Who is my father? Not once, not twice, but 13 times, her mother had thrown out different names, each a potential answer. But today, the guessing game would finally end. Today, science would expose the truth.
Ms. Myers, you have brought your mother, Ms. Madrigal, to court today because you claim she has no idea who your biological father is. You say your mother gave you a list of 13 possible men, and you are hoping to determine who your father is today.
Two men sat in court, both summoned for the same reason, both waiting to hear if they had unknowingly fathered a daughter. For one of them, this day would be a life-changing revelation. But for Monica, this was about more than just biology. This was about closure, about knowing where she came from. Her mother, Samantha Madrigal, stood beside her, almost amused.
You admit to having a laundry list of potential fathers, but hope today answers your daughter's lifelong question. Now, Ms. Myers,
Ms. Myers had been robbed of a father, but worse, she had been robbed of certainty. As a child, she had always felt different, not truly belonging. She had begged her mother for answers, only to be met with half-truths and dismissive laughs.
Circumstances that started your search for your biological father.
When I was 13 years old, I had a father figure in my life, and he died at that age. And you know, when he died, I needed closure. I needed somebody to be there.
Samantha had been young and reckless, living fast, unconcerned about consequences. And now, decades later, that past has come knocking. But even now, she brushed it off. The 13 men? Exaggeration? Fabrication? Monica disagreed. These weren't ghosts. They were real, flesh and blood men who had no idea they might have a daughter.
Madrigal, as you're giving your daughter this list, and I do not mean this in a joking way,
right? You
couldn't narrow it down from 13?
You know, the 13 that she's named it's like 13 ghosts, fabricated.
What about Pick Any Man in Seattle?
Monica might be hurting, but her mother, Samantha, feels that this whole exercise is fruitless. She had been a good mother, and her husband had been a great father to Monica, so she finds it difficult to understand what Monica's problems were exactly.
Came from, I don't know, nothing.
He came from me.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I knew
matter.
you're half of the
Doesn't
family,
matter.
but that's only half
Nobody
the story.
Nobody else matters.
That's
can't
only
no
half
man,
the story.
Can't no man raise you better than you can, even though it doesn't even matter.
You raised
so
me?
save it.
You
save
raised
it.
me?
Oh, I raised you.
No, you didn't.
I raised you.
You weren't
Monica,
even there.
stop
So
it.
anyways.
Ms. Myers, you claim that you left home when you were 15 years old.
Yeah, I did.
One of them, Keith McCraney, walked into the courtroom with a smirk. He had come in with his daughter who looked set for a fight. Keith remembered that night well, 3 minutes to be exact. That was how long it had taken. And after those 3 minutes...
Mr. McCraney, thank you for coming to join us and submitting to the paternity testing. I want to ask you first, you do know Ms. Myers' mom, Ms. Madrigal.
Yes, I did.
Please state how you met her.
You know, we got together, she came over, she told me she thought I was sexy, whatever, good looking. Okay, we had sex, it was a 3-minute thing.
Although Keith now accepts that 3 minutes is enough to fertilize a woman, he couldn't help but smile at the irony of 3 minutes changing your life forever. Samantha had left his house and gone straight to another man's bed. Same night, same circumstances. So, really, was he supposed to believe he was the father?
I couldn't believe it, 3 minutes. I understand it doesn't take that, but...
So you don't take 2 seconds to get pregnant? That it was your 3 minutes of fame that had gotten her there?
Well, Your Honor, I
not how it
also
happened.
found out, Your Honor, that when she left my house...
Monica had said that she didn't like Keith, and she showed it in a fierce back and forth with him and his daughter. But the other potential father, Derek Smith, was different. No smirks, no cocky remarks. Could he be the father? The DNA results are ready.
His picture on Facebook with you and your mom talking about, oh yeah, well, is this person my dad, and blah, blah, blah.
I did that because I wanted people
but
to see.
If he's such a bad guy, but if he's such a bad guy, then why would you even put him on Facebook and say, oh yeah, well, is he my dad?
Monica had not hidden her disdain for Keith and his family. According to her, Keith's family had maltreated her because they were convinced she wasn't Keith's daughter. The assumption that she might be his daughter had driven me against her. She didn't want to know what they would do if it was confirmed that she was indeed his daughter. She wants the DNA to point to any of the 13 guys but Keith. Will the results listen?
That Mr. Smith, you are not Monica's father.
I never thought I'd have to hear that. I still love you, though.
It's okay.
When it comes to Miss Monica Myers, Mr. Keith McCraney, it has been determined by this court that you are the father.
There it is.
This was supposed to be a paternity case, but it felt more like an emotional battlefield. On one side, a concerned mother convinced her daughter was spiraling out of control. The mother was adamant. Her daughter's reckless lifestyle meant there was no way Mr. Boyce was the father. She insisted her daughter had been with multiple men and that Mr. Boyce was being deceived.
Today we have the case of Coe v. Coe, mother versus daughter. Miss Coe, you say you're here today because your daughter is an out-of-control teenager and she needs help. Furthermore, you claim that you have serious doubts that your daughter's boyfriend, Mr. Boyce, is the father of your 7-month-old grandson.
On the other hand, a defiant teenager clinging to the one thing she was sure of, her baby's father. And then there was the young man at the center of it all, unknowingly waiting for the truth that could destroy everything he thought he knew. From the beginning, this case promises to be wild.
You say Mr. Boyce has been a good father to the baby, but that your daughter has numerous sexual partners.
The accusations flew like daggers. The equally stubborn daughter swore she had made mistakes, but was certain of one thing. Her baby belonged to Mr. Boyce. She believes her mother is a nuisance, a disturbance sent to make her life harder. But her mother talks to the judge.
You have also petitioned the court to demand that your daughter attend parenting classes. Now, Ms. Coe, you dispute your mother's claims. You say you are positive that Mr. Boyce is your baby's father and say today's results of the paternity test will prove your mother wrong.
This wasn't just about paternity. This was years of pent-up resentment, rebellion, and a fractured relationship between mother and daughter. The mother claimed her daughter was out of control, bringing thugs into the house with no regard for consequences, and consequences did come.
A police officer, not once, but twice. She
Hitting a
punched
police officer.
She punched a police officer twice. I get the phone call, go up to the school, I get there. I was thankful that I knew this police officer. He looks at me and he says, "This is your daughter?"
Why would she do such a thing? Ziair had her reasons. If her mother, Mrs. Coe, had not abandoned her, maybe she would have turned out better. However, the mom denied the atrocious claims. She makes it clear that her daughter wants a carefree lifestyle without acknowledging the dangers.
My mother and her girlfriend just jumped on me. You come mess them up.
I said her girlfriend just jumped on me, and I did have somebody come over there.
She made that phone call. Them guys, they loaded up. They came to my house. They bust out every window. They busted out my car. They destroyed my house. This was 1 week before I was
That's your car?
That's my car.
Now that she is pregnant, the mother wants things to be done properly. Although she had been there when her daughter needed her most, she recognized that her behavior meant that the paternity of the child was uncertain. She had taken the bulls by the horn and spoken to Ziair's boyfriend.
I went over to my best friend's house and he was there.
So now, what I believe, and you can tell me if I'm right, Mom, you're worried now about this cycle repeating itself.
Exactly.
The young man, Mr. Boyce, had done everything right. He had stood by the baby, taken on responsibility, and believed in the relationship. But today, his entire world teetered on the edge of a single envelope. He had loved Ziair, and he's ready to prove it.
You don't have to feel ashamed about that.
I was there for you.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Are you worried for your baby? You don't want your baby to have to grow up and feel the things you felt? What are your hopes for your son? What do you want for him?
I just want him to have both of his parents. And I don't want him to grow up like I did, and I don't want him to run the streets like I did, because I don't want him.
The judge laid out the facts, her voice steady, cutting through the tension in the room. The mother insisted she had told Mr. Boyce from the beginning that a test was necessary. The daughter, however, confessed there had been another man, a slip, a mistake, a moment she couldn't take back. But in her heart, she was still certain. Mr. Boyce was the father, and then the results.
The paternity of this particular child, but we also know that this child is very important to you.
Yeah, he really is.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Please tell the court about that.
I feel like from the beginning I knew it was a possibility, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying, he made me grow more, you know what I'm saying, since he been around. Because my mom, she passed away, and once I told her about it, you know what I'm saying, she just, oh, that's my grandbaby.
The air was thick, suffocating. The mother sat rigid, her daughter silent, and Mr. Boyce hopeful. The judge read the results.
I'm really, really proud of you. I really am. I want you to know that. And you know who else is? And as, you know, as much of a stand-up man, you know, you're being in this decision, in this situation, I should say. You're being a really mature individual.
Mr. Boyce was not the father. His face drained of color. He sat there, frozen, as if his mind refused to process what his ears had just heard. The weight of betrayal crushed him, pressing against his chest and stealing the air from his lungs. He had loved this child, devoted himself to him, and was convinced that he was the father, no matter the whispers or doubts.
He did you.
Ms. Coe, but you have told this court that you think it could possibly be Mr. Boyce or maybe someone else. Okay. Let's go to the results, okay? Jerome, do you have the results?
There you go, Your Honor. But he wasn't. The mother let out a sharp breath. Relief, vindication. The daughter? Her confidence shattered in an instant. She had sworn she was sure, convinced herself there was no other way. But now, the truth had spoken. And Mr. Boyce? He had built his world around a lie. The judge's voice cut through the stunned silence. There were lessons to be learned here. Recklessness had consequences. Deception had victims. And in the middle of it all, an innocent child would soon grow up to ask the same question his father had asked today. Who am I? Justice had been served, but it left behind nothing but heartbreak.
Mr. Boyce, you are not the father.
Mr. Stewart is her daughter's biological father. Mr. Stewart says that he knows Ms. Fisher was with multiple partners during the window of conception and also says that she's trying to pin the baby on him because she knows that he is a good father. Well, here's how the whole thing started.
Ms. Fisher, you're here to prove that Mr. Stewart is your daughter Kalia's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state that your daughter has a serious medical condition and it is imperative that you know the father's medical history. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, clearly all Ms. Fisher wants out of this case is to know who her baby's father is. Her daughter has a condition, and she wants to know if the father has the same condition so she can give her daughter the necessary care and medication that she needs.
A week after we started messing around, she come out and she showed me a pregnancy test. I'm like, it's not my baby.
So a week after you all started having a sexual relationship, she brings you a pregnancy test and says she's pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So you don't believe you're the father of her child?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Fisher, tell me what happened.
I woke up one morning, I wasn't feeling well, and I've been pregnant before, so I pretty much knew before I took the test I was pregnant.
Can she really blame him? They got into a sexual relationship, and after a week she says she's pregnant? Even I would not accept the baby. That right there looks like she's actually trying to pin the baby on Mr. Stewart.
After this is over, did the relationship continue?
Yes, he was just at my house like a week and a half ago.
I got bored. I got bored,
You got bored?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you get bored, you go over Miss Fisher's house and have unprotected sex?
Sometimes.
He did not just say that to Judge Lauren. He better tread carefully. He is about to get on Judge Lauren's nerves, and he is not going to like that. Oh well, Ms. Fisher admits that they were together in bed just a week before the court case. They must really love each other's company.
What do you know and how do you know it?
Well, she named another potential father as the biological father, and then on top of that, another man signed the birth certificate.
Wait a minute. She named another man as the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which man is this?
Mr. Kern.
Mr. Kern?
Yes, Your Honor.
He's in court today, but the second part of your statement was...
This doesn't even make any sense. She initially said that he was not around when she gave birth to the child. Her daughter has another man's name on the birth certificate, and now she's saying that he chose to give her daughter his last name? What in the world is going on?
So, Miss Fisher, Mr. Kern, who we're going to hear from in a second, let's talk about your relationship with him. Were you intimate with him as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you intimate with him during the time you were also intimate with Mr. Stewart?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this during the window of conception?
Yes.
Did you use protection with Mr.?
No.
Well, newsflash, that doesn't count, Ms. Fisher. That doesn't count. As long as you slept with him without using protection, there's a high chance he could be a possible father. But why on earth would she be sleeping with two different men during the window of conception? That's just wrong.
Biological father, were you aware of this?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not denying that I'm not her father. I'm denying because Miss Fisher, she always been lying to me, you know what I'm saying? Because we already done went through this one time with an older child.
What do you mean?
We started inboxing each other on Facebook.
It always starts with Facebook. Done it wrong.
And we started inboxing each other, you know what I'm saying? Then we got real cornered, We decided we wanted to.
Wow, Ms. Fisher must really be on her game. The other man she had a sexual relationship with walked into the courtroom and said that this is not his first rodeo with Ms. Fisher. She did this same thing with her first child. What a woman. Paternity issue with 2 kids? Come on.
No, I was devastated. I was crushed about it.
So now there is a paternity question as it relates to Kalia, another baby. Were you intimate with Miss Fisher during the window of time in which Kalia was conceived?
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is just ridiculous. Were you all in a relationship? Were you commit? What was it?
Man, it was just, I know you listen to songs, right?
You better listen to that advice. Seems like every time he listens to it, he ends up in a paternity issue with Ms. Fisher. Oh well, as you'd expect, he and Ms. Fisher were not in a romantic relationship. It was all about kicking in bed and having a good time.
And so right now she indicated the doctors were trying to determine whether or not a surgery would be needed.
So they would put a patch over that hole and try to keep the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from touching.
How is it genetically linked, if at all?
So that's a difficult answer. There's lots of factors that come into play. There's toxins that can be exposed, the child can be exposed to in utero.
That's right, the stakes are very high, and this is no joke at all. Her daughter has a serious medical condition, and she needs to find the father so she can avoid any catastrophic situation. The crazy part is none of these men have any heart conditions.
It's a shame that you're running around having sex with no protection and making babies and still doing it, where you could potentially make another one and be in the same position as this one. This is not a game. Miss Fisher, when you hear this and you talk about wanting your child to know who her biological father is, do you understand now the part you have to play in that lack of knowing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's hope all the scolding goes into their heads. None of them men want to accept that they are the fathers of the kids. I'm sure the DNA results will reveal the truth. Let's see what they have to say.
Mr. Kern, you are not the father. Mr. Stewart, you are not the father.
After finding out she had a terminal illness, Ms. Holshoe seeks to uncover the true identity of who her biological father is, only to find out the most shocking surprises on her journey. It's one roller coaster to the next in this episode.
Miss Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Miss Howard, you and your sisters say Miss Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family and ruined your home. You say Miss Holshoe is dragging your father's name through the mud, and there is absolutely no way she is related to you. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Now things get really heated in a matter of seconds. It felt like they all hated themselves from their previous lives. Apparently, the alleged father had passed away, but his daughters, for sure, weren't going to welcome Ms. Holshoe with open arms.
And also, I'm in the obituary as his daughter.
You are?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
That was a big mistake that her name was put into the obituary. Our father's sister did that.
No.
And did not tell any of us about it. Our father didn't even mention her.
Ms. Holshoe found out she had a real dad in the most awkward way. Trust me, your mind isn't going to believe what you're about to hear. Her stepdad and mom were having an argument. Boom! The bomb drops, and she can't believe what she hears.
Because my stepdad was drunk and he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me, and she took me and introduced me to DL, and we had a relationship.
Now the sisters for sure weren't going easy on Ms. Holshoe. They felt she was an imposter who was trying to spoil their family's name. They stood their ground and denied every single thing Ms. Holshoe said in the courtroom. Trust me, it was quite a show.
I was 19 at the time.
So you remember this day?
Oh, with clearly, like it was yesterday. They were sitting in a booth with my dad across from her and her mother. I was standing at the end, and he said, I just brought you guys here to let you know that she's your sister. And that was the one and only time that my dad ever mentioned her till the day he died.
Some really interesting stories started to fly around the courtroom. Everyone was trying to air out their minds and beliefs. In the process, some nasty revelations jumped out. Trust me, they weren't nice, and some of it was just super fishy. But Ms. Holshoe stood her ground by saying,
my father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. That gave me the thought that obviously her mother probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to know me. It's not my fault that your dad had sex with my mother, and I'm a product of that.
The courtroom was pretty heated up at this point, with both parties throwing shade at each other. Another one of their sisters walks into the courtroom. Surprisingly, she's on Ms. Holshoe's side. She believes that there is a chance that Ms. Holshoe is her sister. Now that's interesting, wouldn't you say?
I believe that she is.
You do? Tell the court why.
Because my father told me that she was.
She just needs a family, Your Honor, because her whole family, she's shut out. They've shut her out because she's such a devil.
Tell me about that moment when you were informed or your father told you.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, And he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Okay, I had met several of them before.
Now she had quite a lot to say. Not only did she back up Ms. Holshoe's claim of being their sister, she also said their father was no saint. He was also messing around with other women. Wow.
He is our hero to this day. And I'm not going to bash him, but yes, he loved women, and that's just the way it was. Some men hunt, some men don't.
Okay, well said. Now your sisters seem to think that Miss Holshoe's just trying to stir the pot. She's trying to get into your family. You two are best friends, and you all want to be sisters. And
well, it's time to spill the beans on whether she was really his daughter or if it was all a joke. All eyes are on the judge as she gets ready to give the final verdict.
It has been determined by this court that the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%.
This is Ms. Austin's third time on paternity court. She's no stranger to proving her children's paternity to Mr. Wallace, who once again has doubts that her 9-month-old son is his. Mind you, she's pregnant with a third child by him, and she and Mr. Wallace aren't even together. It's a crazy case, and here is how it begins.
Last time we was here, everything started out okay. But we all know that wasn't gonna last long. Roniel Wallace was still bouncing back from me and Kendrelyn. I had enrolled in school, but I never did go because I had got pregnant once again with Roniel. And she got pregnant with her baby, with her son. And as you can see now, once again, I'm pregnant again.
Seems like these three are in a polyamorous relationship and don't even know it. Two women taking turns getting pregnant for one man is just so silly. And every single time this happens, Mr. Wallace doubts he is responsible for the pregnancies. Why then is he messing around with women he doesn't trust?
Because she's very promiscuous. When we was together, I had installed, it was like spyware on her phone. It's what they would duplicate her text messages and call log and send a copy to my email. And again, for about the 5th, 6th time, I called her texting different men.
Didn't see that one coming? If he truly believes she's promiscuous, why does he keep having children with her? One child wasn't enough, so you had a second, and now there's a third on the way. Yet you call her a slut. The same woman who might soon be the mother of 3 of your kids? Crazy.
If I'm dead, so why you keep on sleeping with me? Why? 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 I'm pregnant again. Why? 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 Why?
Easy access.
Why? Why? You say that about her?
Right.
Yeah.
So
why
now,
do you keep allowing me to sleep with
I'm gonna keep on just because I know that you with her.
Okay, this is serious. Ms. Austin's question is very valid. Why did he keep sleeping with her if she thought she was promiscuous? And why on earth is his girlfriend, Ms. Roberts, so mad? Was she really going to hit her in front of a judge?
Because I was hurt.
But if you...
by trying to get back to Aunt Roniel for the things that he has done to me.
And so at the end of the day, you all can see now that 2 wrongs never make a right. And then you were wrong for being pregnant and talking to other men and expecting him to then believe your child is his child automatically.
Cheating on your partner is no payback for their infidelity. It will cost you 2 at the end of the day, as we can see with Ms. Austin and Mr. Wallace. 3 potential babies together, yet they don't see eye to eye. What a terrible situation.
I feel like we have certain features, but you can't just base it all off look.
They have the same chin.
Let me see that. Is that evidence you'd like to present?
Yes.
Okay. Walk me through what these pieces of evidence are. The first piece is...
the chin. You see that chin? Look at their feet.
So you say their feet are alike?
Yeah.
But they don't change your mind?
No, ma'am. It's just like you go to a police lineup. They put you in there with 6 other men who look just like you.
Really? His feet and chin? Those are the features you chose to compare? It's valid, but kind of funny. At the end of the day, though, as Mr. Wallace said, it's not really about the looks, is it?
A family. And I did what I had to do to move into the apartment, Your Honor. I do everything for him. I stood by his side when he had his apartment. He went through a lot, and I was there by his side. Never left, and I could have left. I could have walked away. I had a family, I could have walked away, but I didn't. I stood by his side in earth because he left me. He keeps leaving me.
You can't but feel pity for Ms. Austin. She loves this man. Yet he keeps treating her like trash and walking away every time. This information and the fact that they have been here 3 times show how irresponsible the man is. It is such a shame.
He left my house. He leaves my house and goes spends the night out at Kendrelyn's house, with his stuff still being at my house until I took it to his mom's house, and that's where his stuff been at ever since. He just came back to my house not long ago because, 3 days ago, because him and Kendrelyn had a fight.
When you just broke down a moment ago, I felt for you.
These women are at fault too, letting Mr. Wallace waltz in and out of their lives whenever he pleases. If none of them stands up to put an end to this mess, they might just find themselves on paternity court for a fourth time.
It's determined today that Mr. Wallace is Ronell's father. Is that what you're hoping?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
And Mr. Wallace, what are you hoping for today?
I'm just agitated.
You feel agitated?
Yes.
Tell me.
Because of the bull crap performance she put on. Look, well, I need to walk out.
Whoa. That explosion was unexpected. Mr. Wallace insists Ms. Austin is putting on a show and Judge Lauren is falling for it. He's angry because the judge is taking her side. This is a whole new level of reaction.
I'm not gonna let you leave here thinking I'm taking anybody's side. I'm asking the questions that need to be asked. Now we're gonna get you these results because you came here because you wanted to know, right?
Yes.
Are you Ronell's father?
Great. Let's find out what the DNA results say and put an end to this drama.
Mr. Wallace, you are Ronell's father.
19 years? That's how long he had waited. How long he had believed, known that he was robbed of his daughter. And today, Mr. Wheat stood in court, ready to reclaim what he had lost and make up for 19 years of lost time.
Mr. Wheat, you filed your case because you claim you've been robbed as a father. You are desperate to prove to the defendant that you fathered her 19-year-old daughter, Sierra Sloan, and once you want to make up for lost time. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Across the courtroom, Ms. Grider stood with a knowing expression. She had heard his claims before and had hoped, once upon a time, that he was the father too. But the truth wasn't built on hope. Facts would settle the matter once and for all.
Ms. Grider, you say, as much as you would like the plaintiff to be your daughter's biological father, facts are facts, and he isn't her dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then there was Sierra, the young woman caught in this paternity storm. 19 years of uncertainty, 19 years of never really knowing where she came from. She had doubts, but today, she would get her answer.
Miss Sloan, you say you are the victim in this paternity chaos and deserve to know who your dad is. Is
yes,
that
Your
correct?
Honor.
Mr. Wheat's voice trembled with emotion as he spoke about everything he had missed. First words, first steps, school plays, birthdays, graduations. He had imagined a life where he had been there, where his daughter had grown up knowing his name, his voice, his love. But instead, he was a stranger, fighting to prove his place in her life. And he was convinced that Sierra was his.
Mr. Wheat, you testify that you were robbed as a father. Explain.
Yes, I believe she is mine. So I want her to make up for all the lost time so she can meet her sisters.
And so what does it feel like knowing that you may have missed 19 years of your daughter's life?
It's hurtful, very hurtful.
But Ms. Grider had her own version of events. She was 19, young, and reckless, living in the moment without thinking about consequences. And let's just say those moments weren't spent with just one man. No, there were four potential fathers.
Ms. Grider, so you say, unfortunately, as much as you would like your daughter to be Mr. Wheat's biological child, you just say she is not.
Right.
Explain to the court why you are so certain.
Because I was 19, I was young, dumb, and full of eggs, and I was doing me.
One of her boyfriends was her live-in boyfriend at the time. Another was a man she met through mutual friends. Then there was Mr. Wheat, a one-night encounter, a fleeting moment in a Texas nightlife club. And the fourth? Well, let's just say Texas nightlife had a way of making things complicated.
How many guys were you with during the window of time your daughter was conceived?
4.
4 different guys. And Mr. Wheat is one of them.
Yes.
So can you tell the court, how is it you were with these guys?
One of them was my boyfriend. He was living with me at the time, and he went away.
When she found out she was pregnant, she did what she thought was right. She told them all, every single one of them. But only one man had been there when Sierra was born. Only one man had stepped up, signed the birth certificate, and taken responsibility. And it wasn't Mr. Wheat. That, she argued, was the truth, and DNA wasn't going to change it.
So when Sierra was born, you were there?
Yes, ma'am. I was in the doctor.
Signed the birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
You named her?
Yes, ma'am. After a Chevy truck.
See, that wasn't me.
Still a beautiful name, Sierra. So, Mr. Wheat, I see your emotion here. I see your face because as I talk about all of these memories and naming her and all of this.
For years, Sierra had lived in the shadows of uncertainty. She had been raised by Mac Grider, the man who claimed her as his own, but deep down, she needed the truth. She needed to know who her real father was, and that truth was now written in black and white.
Mr. Wheat, you are not the father.
Despite Mr. Wheat's numerous claims and undiluted convictions, science has spoken. Mr. Wheat had come to court expecting justice. What he got was heartbreak. Now, Mr. Grider, the man who had been there from the beginning, can go home with the family knowing that Mr. Wheat's claim of his daughter is in the past. But first, the judge had to read the second result just to fulfill all righteousness.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Grider, you are not